I'm Mark Robbins. They came out of the cornfields, entering the field of play in Iowa, and they've done it in front of about 8,000 fans. Sold out. The Yankees and White Sox playing at the site of the Field of Dreams movie in Iowa, a real Major League game. White Sox home team. And right now, Chicago with a 1-0 lead. Jose Abreu drilling a line drive over the fence into the cornfield in left for a solo homer. A beautiful scene, nostalgia and excitement. And if you don't believe me, here's Clinton Yates of the Undefeated, who's been there for a while, speaking on Shanae Golick Jr. earlier here on ESPN Radio.
So they've got all the sort of decked-out barn, kind of farm motif. You know, it's creative, if nothing else. And I just feel like for Iowa, I know I've been here all week. The Iowa State, not all week, I've been here all day. The Iowa State Fair is also starting today. The whole week has been very exciting for this community in a lot of different ways.
That's Clinton Yates, and you can catch the rest of this game on ESPN Radio and, of course, the ESPN app. Earlier, Tampa Bay knocked off Boston 8-1. Mets sweep a doubleheader at home over Washington 4-1 and 5-4. Phillies knock off the Dodgers 2-1. Oakland and Milwaukee each with 17 runs in wins over Cleveland and the Cubs. NFL preseason underway. Washington and New England scoreless. Philadelphia's got a 3-0 first quarter lead on the Steelers. There'll be no spectators at qualifying for the U.S. Open, but the U.S. Tennis Association says at this point fans are still welcome when the main draw begins at the Tennis Center. The tournament begins August 30th.
We're back on Friday and getting you ready for a full week of preseason action. We'll tell you the biggest things we're watching on your team this weekend. Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Zubin, Friday morning on ESPN Radio.
Isn't this a sports show?
This show is for some people. I don't know if any of them are currently listening, but there is a type of person that just loves this show. We just have to find a few of them.
Almost entirely.
I meant to warn you at the front end that this show is, we're going to talk about some NFL stuff and some Chiefs stuff, but you're going to have to, this show is going to be unapologetically this show today.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
We have one laughing emoji reaction so far to the show. I'm going to assume that that's laughing with us. God, I hope so.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
There's podcasts of this, believe it, everywhere.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810. WHB.
It always surprises me whenever that part isn't there. I think that's an early intro. And we had some imaging switching around. And also, to be honest, right now we are sort of assembling the studio for tonight's show because we, tag in and out with crunch time. A lot of moving parts going on around just around the station right now for us, planning out things for the weekend. Rudy's got like a little glitter under his eye. I just noticed. It just caught the light just right. And I would like to know more about how that got there.
I mean, I don't know how I have glitter on underneath my eyes. I don't know what I would have touched. I see a couple pieces on my finger. I don't know what I would have touched that had glitter.
I mean, I walked past you once, and that you could have just gotten. Most people don't know this, but I'm sort of, Pigpen from Peanuts.
Yes.
He's just surrounded by a cloud of dust. That's me, just with glitter.
Glitter.
Also, as all of this is happening, there is a baseball game being played in a cornfield. Now, I'm currently efforting to be able to. It's just on Fox, right?
Sure. I have no idea.
Okay. Thank you, Rudy. Thank you for answering anyway. Can you hear ourselves right now, by the way?
Yeah,
or are
yeah.
you
Everything
really?
sounds fine. For me, currently. Not for you.
Nope. It's all maxed out.
Not great.
No, I just can't. I literally looked over at the second little secret headphone knob that I only use in emergencies.
Yeah.
And it is also where it's supposed to be. And so, it's just one of those fun. We basically get with us setting up all the stuff we set up for all the video stuff and, switching around, moving phones
just lost
and
it.
everything. Oh, really? Oh, I hit the console with the phone. We really create a little obstacle course for ourselves.
Yep.
Oh, and the computer that I used to read the Twitch comments says, let's finish setting up your device.
I would just update. Usually that part is at the very end. You can usually get through that pretty quickly.
Did I fix it?
Nope. I got you in 1 year, though.
I'm not going to sign in with Microsoft. Skip for now. Just let me open Twitch. We have a little obstacle course set for ourselves. It's just trying to find a way to change the TV channel. Beards, can you please just change the TV in there to Fox?
But I've got NBA Summer League basketball.
Change it to Fox! I want to watch baseball be played in a cornfield. And
This is after the segment we had yesterday discussing how much you hate baseball.
I don't no I don't hate baseball.
That's not what it sounded like yesterday.
No, baseball.
You also weren't listening.
Yeah, shocking. Baseball in its traditional current format can be grueling. You know what's not grueling? Watching baseball be played in a cornfield. That
You ever been stuck in a corn maze? That's grueling.
No, but they're not. It's baseball in a cornfield. I watched the intro to the whole broadcast or whatever. I saw it on Twitter because I haven't gotten any of these TVs to work yet. And Kevin Costner comes in out of the corn. And this dude makes an entire meal out of his debut there. He walks out, and he doesn't even just walk straight from the corn in the outfield into just straight to second base or whatever. He just very slowly just kind of waddles out. Waddle's not fair. It was a very purposeful walk. Mm-hmm. But he slowly sort of makes his paces out there.
I'm going to have to leave the room so I can change the channel because I can't change the channel from in the room.
Thank you, Beards.
Our televisions are great.
I don't know how to change the other. I've forgotten how to.
You can't change.
Beards, let me try to change 47.
47 doesn't work right now.
It doesn't work.
Can I change Sat 1? Sat 1's only on the broken
only
TV.
33 can change.
Is that right?
Yes, only 33 can change the channel.
47 or 44, but you have to be in the room.
Well,
where
yeah, 44 is cable.
Is 33 the one that is standard definition?
Well, no, it's high def. It's just I think when it's on this TV, it's standard def, and when it's on that TV, it's high def.
Okay, so I feel like I should be able to fix that. I feel like there should be a button for me to be able to click to fix that here on this end.
Here's the thing.
Oops, I've made it not widescreen anymore. Although it might have been better. There we go. Baseball in a cornfield. Was that so hard?
Yes.
Yes. But Costner walking onto the field that way really filled my heart with joy. Because it was like a 2-minute entrance, and then both teams came from out of the cornfield. The little music, little sort of jingle sort of thing that plays in Field of Dreams before some weird bleep happens plays. And then
Never seen Field of Dreams. I'm also not a Kevin Costner fan, so, you know.
He said he hasn't seen Field of Dreams, but also, you could just save that for after I describe this. I'm trying to set the scene, Beards, through a TV that I have changed to 4:3 that has actually improved the picture. That's a more accurate representation. It's no longer stretched.
It's still got part of it cut off.
I know, and that's really confusing.
Which
I'm not totally sure how that happens.
Yeah, I don't know how you fix that, but
I saw somebody on Twitter when they were prompted to watch it. It was like, "You want to watch this in 4K or dismiss?" I was like, "Oh, I bet watching this in 4K would be sweet." And that's not an option that I'm going to have this evening. But I'm going to try to keep an eye on it.
The fact that you just have the option to watch it,
that is a blessing.
Yours 5747 on Twitch says great radio bit. It's not really a bit, honestly. Here,
no, it's just our life.
This is not really a bit.
We just talk about the things that happen to us. I think that might be both the.
I guess that's a bit. The specifics of the bit are not a bit.
And that's also not a bit, though. That's just a stylistic choice.
We're saying what we see.
I think that might be the overarching
I think it rained inside my backpack, and I'm not sure how. Some of my backpack's wet, but this is closed.
The G Fuel cup, you mean?
But other stuff was wet, so I think it rained inside my backpack.
Or your cup spilled or sweat or something.
It's closed.
Was there condensation on your cup at all?
Maybe, but I'm going to go with it rained inside my backpack.
You think it rained inside? Your Occam's razor, you think the simplest scenario here is that some dark wizard cast a rain cloud inside of your backpack to make it rain inside of your backpack.
You sound absurd right now.
That's absurd.
I just think science, a cloud was created. It rained a little bit. Science, Josh.
I think the sign of somebody who who just doesn't really enjoy this show very much. The harshest criticism from someone like that would be the fact that we simply just talk about the things that are happening to us. And like we'll get to the sports stuff, and oftentimes sports stuff is the stuff that's happening to us. But occasionally, you know, just getting the show on the air and getting everything set up and everything is a part of the process. And if we just pretend that that isn't a part of the process, we're going to do some really sort of repressed radio, I think.
By the way, which Sox team is this that's playing? Because the only thing their jersey says is with the big S logo, and then there's an O and an X. And
What color are their socks, Beards?
I don't know. They're wearing pants.
Well, that's true. Not a lot of them are going high.
That is the White Sox logo.
It is the White
Is
Sox,
it?
though.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, of course.
Okay.
The Red Sox don't have that logo. I mean, technically, the
have.
White Sox don't have it now. That's their old logo.
You know, it would. So,
The
Beards,
Yankees are also rocking their retro logo.
What's a Yogo?
I don't know.
Is that
just
like
the Yankees
new,
logo?
The new yogurt?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude, I would crush a Yogo. If I saw like the Trix Rabbit and some Danimals all come together to pitch me on
Oh,
Yogo,
boy.
it's Yogurt to go.
That
It's
sounds
like
good.
it's just rebranded Go-Gurt. It's just, you guys remember Go-Gurt?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Beards, you
I was-
eat Go-Gurt?
No.
Never once in his life. did he
Ever?
try
No.
Go-Gurt.
Never?
No,
No.
of course not.
God, dude,
Of course not.
I'm gonna say this, and then I'm going to backtrack. But I've got the whole thing planned out in my head. It is alarming to me that, because now we're talking about this show being, we've entered year 4 of this show, right? We've done 3 full years of radio. AES had its 4th birthday like earlier this week, right, Beards? Is that correct?
On the 6th.
But so the show is 0, and then it was 1, and so is the show 3 or 4 full years old?
4.
It's 4. We're in our 4th year.
2018.
So we've completed 3 years of radio, and we're in year 4.
No, 2017. Yes. We're in year 4.
So we're 4 years old as a show.
Yes.
And it is baffling that I've done 4 years of radio with you, and I think we have like 7 things in common. Now that is not like, now here's the backtracking. I simply can't believe that. It's just impossible to me that we're just going different directions on like 95% of things. This is not a, this is the backtrack. This is not a Golick and Greenberg, Mike and Mike situation where by the end they just weren't talking at it before the show at any point.
Yeah.
We're not there
We'll get there.
yet. It is just always jarring to me. There's something like just Go-Gurt. We can't even get there on Go-Gurt. And also, again, none of this is a bit. It's just the things that are happening to
Also,
us.
S. Wallaby on Twitch says Go-Gurt is just warm, bad milk ice pops.
It's not warm, dude.
Yeah, it's cold.
You can also freeze them and they become a frozen yogurt pop and they're incredible.
You shouldn't have warm Go-Gurt. Like
Don't-
don't store your Go-Gurt in the cabinet.
Don't
you store
put-
your Go-Gurt. You don't put your drinks in the cabinet. No,
Don't
you put them in the fridge.
Don't put dairy in the pantry.
It doesn't go in the oven.
Here, you know what? You know
Belongs
something
in the
else?
fridge.
While we're on a similar topic, you know what I would like to begin to pound the table for? Kefir. Not Sutherland, but it is a type of yogurt adjacent thing where it is basically like a thinner yogurt. And I'm not a
Yeah.
huge milk fan in its original form, like, ice cream and cheese and all that, great. But I don't like to put just normal milk on my cereal very much. It's just not really my thing. But kefir, which often comes in like fruit flavors and stuff, is like the middle ground between milk and yogurt. It's pourable, but it's a little bit thicker that has sort of almost a yogurty consistency. And it's wonderful. I believe they call it the champagne of dairy because it has little bubbles in it when you shake it up. It's like the active bacteria or whatever that's good for your gut.
Why would you want champagne dairy?
Because it's great. It's better than milk and it's better than yogurt. And it is the
milk is
point in
disgusting.
between the two of them.
Milk is nasty.
I don't care for milk. Again, and it's like normal form.
And it's like not and everybody's like, oh, it's good for you. No, milk stops being good for you when you turn like 5.
That makes a ton of sense to me. I don't know that it's true, but I believe it.
No, yeah, it's like milk is very fatty. Like it's not like it's very good for you as a baby because you're growing. But once you
Right.
hit like I'm 5, I don't know if it's exactly 5, but like pretty early, milk stops being good for you.
Yeah, I mean, my bones aren't still getting bigger, right?
Weirdos like way back in the day, like people used to have like milk for dinner. Like they'd have a steak
Yes,
and vegetables and
and
a
a
glass of milk.
Tall, cold glass of milk?
And you know what's even weirder than that? People used to have like a warm glass of milk before bedtime.
Insane. I wouldn't sleep at all. I would be up in the middle of the night with tummy cramps.
We call Beards a weirdo, but like those people,
Incredibly
Also, the
weird.
internet stopped working.
Why would you make yogurt? No one's saying that you should make the yogurt hot.
No, it's supposed to be cold.
Yogo is the newest invention from the lead scientists that were ultimately fired because they played with fire in terms of that Trix. You remember the Trix yogurt, Rudy? That it was like you get like a cotton candy or like a like a strawberry kiwi or something.
Oh yeah.
There's no way that was good for us, right?
Who's to say?
But we're bringing back those scientists, and they're working with the scientists from Go-Gurt, and they're working from the scientists from Danimals. We've got all these food scientists together, and they've got this incredible new product that Rudy has named and created, Yogo, which was him trying to say the phrase Yankees logo, but it became Yogo.
You only Go-Gurt once.
And we are in a new
world. You only
world.
Gurt once. Can't say Go-Gurt because
I don't like that.
You only Gurt once.
I don't like Gurt.
Yeah, you only Gurt, G-U-R-T, once.
Gurt makes me uncomfortable.
Gurt is now a new verb. It's the act of consuming yogurt. You Gurt. You only Gurt once.
I guess we got to get Gurtin. What's worse between the last two shows we've done, Gurtin or Pre-Prime? Because they're both bad.
It's Gurtin by a long while.
You ever Gurt your Pre-Prime? That right there is the worst thing I've ever said. Aaron Judge just hit a home run into the corn.
What is, like,
He hit a home run into the corn.
What's the word, the term
Baseball's back.
It's essentially like, like scoregami, right? It's like whenever we see an NFL score. The sentence you just said was the first time in the history of the world that sentence has ever been spoken. There's a phrase for that, like a term.
Sentence?
Brand new sentence is a subreddit, but I think there is.
But there is like an
actual
term for it, like what scoregami essentially is, and that's what.
Have you ever girded your Pre-Prime, or can you girt a Pre-Prime?
I mean, you just said like 4 different versions of it's all 4 different brand new sentences.
I'm really happy to be a part of history this way, and it was documented on the radio also. So like. Whenever Gurt and Pre-Prime become a part like of Webster's dictionary,
Webster probably we're looking 2035 because it's going to take a while.
But we're going to get an urban dictionary entry by the end of the show.
2026, it's going to be like a common phrase. And it'll take maybe about a decade before the Webster dictionary to catch up. But
it will always be remembered as originating on Almost Entirely Sports, that short-lived show on Sports Radio 810 that aired from the years of when did we start, Beards?
2017.
August
2017.
In ESPN Kansas City starting in August 2017, and then went to Sports Radio 810 before being canceled in 20.
Why'd the show get canceled? They were girding on the radio.
You can't keep girding on the radio like this.
Can't do it.
I'm just saying.
They didn't even hit their Pre-Prime.
I'm just saying. That's right. That's probably true.
That is definitely true.
I'm just saying that I feel like some of you didn't appreciate Go-Gurt enough while we had it. Like, I haven't thought about Go-Gurt in a while, but it's probably going to be in my next grocery run if it still exists. Not because I really want to eat a tube of yogurt, because that's, I could use a spoon if I want yogurt that bad. For sure. But being able to put that bleep in the freezer it becomes a frozen yogurt tube. They're wonderful. Mm-hmm. You let it melt for just a second so you can get it out of the tube easier. And it's wonderful. It's basically an ice cream tube, but it's frozen yogurt, and maybe it's got a fun licensed character on it, I don't understand why anyone wouldn't want that. Anyway, baseball's being played in the cornfield, and I didn't think the pressers today were all that interesting.
I was trying to think of a funny character to be on our Yogo.
You ever realize how obviously terrible it is whenever we all sit and... Now, Beards is on his phone, but whenever at least you and I, Rudy, are sitting here trying to think of something funny. Like, I think occasionally we fall into it. We're like, all right, quick, who's the funniest licensed character to put... I think it's just... I would like Yogo to just be absolutely embarrassed by Minions. It's just every square inch of the box and the tubes of the packaging. It's just Minions all over the place. They're overlapping.
I don't hate that. Now, the problem with that is like, there is also the sense of like, we could never get the Minions.
I don't know. I feel like they're pretty loosey-goosey with that, with the licensing deals.
That's probably true.
Those aren't public domain by now?
I don't think so. But let's think public domain. Sherlock Holmes, and I think It's a Wonderful Life, you know?
Sherlock Holmes is, so I've learned about this.
Yeah,
I think
me
you
too.
Probably have too, because
Yeah.
we're besties. So
Yes.
only parts of Sherlock Holmes is available in the public domain, like those
Right.
super old story
The
stuff.
OG Arthur Conan Doyle Sherlock
Yes.
stuff, go crazy.
Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock, not in the public domain.
And because it's a wacky off-center
Yes.
versions. And like so Bandersnatch Cumberbund's Sherlock series is not, they had to like get rights for that because he's a modern Sherlock, and same for the one that was on CBS, and honestly might still be on CBS.
It's not. Elementary's over. Here's the thing.
Was it good?
It was actually pretty good.
Wow.
I watched the whole. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I just wanted to try it out because I kind of like Sherlock Holmes stuff, and I just found myself just kept watching. I was like, huh, it's not so bad.
What if we, on our yoga, we have Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock, and then also the CBS Elementary Sherlock, both on, they have like dueling flavors or
but
whatever.
They're done in the style of Minions?
Yes. We're home. Is this heaven? No.
Could have surprised me.
It's Iowa.
It's heaven's pre-prime.
I was doing a Field of Dreams things, Beard, which you would have no way of knowing.
Iowa, heaven's pre-prime. That doesn't feel right. No offense to people in Iowa, but that doesn't feel right.
Field of Dreams does take place in Iowa, right? I didn't beef that.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
God.
it
I would have
does.
been so embarrassed. My entire family
I've
might have
heard,
disowned me.
just spinning off that, like being a sports fan in Iowa, it's miserable, is what I've heard. And it's simply because.
Is it because you're in Iowa?
No, because that yes, I guess technically partly yes, but it's because if you whatever fan like whatever for the most part, Iowa has the most teams, like it's blacked out by the most markets in the U.S. Because especially like in baseball, it's Cardinals, Royals, Cubs.
Don't they have isn't the Iowa
Cleveland?
Cubs an
Cleveland?
affiliate?
Yes, Iowa Cubs, AAA team. But like I think they're
Minnesota?
blacked out by.
Or
I think
Brewers?
it's 5 is what Lebo had told me, like MLB markets.
Tigers?
And then they're obviously blacked out by, I think it's the Chiefs and a couple other NFL. Basically, though, they're like the most like blacked out city, sports-wise, which also leads to the most blacked out city drinking-wise because you have nothing else to do because you're just mad yelling at MLB.TV, and so you just do shots.
And definitely not demographically.
But you do have sports gambling, weirdly enough.
You can gamble on all the games that you can't watch. Iowa! It's not heaven, but Kevin Costner said it kinda almost was in that famous movie that apparently Beards has never seen.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I have a response to your response. I thought about tweeting the response, but I forgot. So now I'm going to give you a verbal response to your tweet.
To this tweet?
To your tweet. Your
about
quote
the
tweet.
sheep?
About the why was it compared to a kangaroo?
Who is on? Don't spoil. I haven't read it yet, Rudy.
You just asked the question.
I'm gonna read it. I said I was gonna read it, and
you
then Beers
literally
wanted to play
just
the
asked
thing.
the question.
I asked if you saw the tweet, and you guys said yes, and I said okay, I'm gonna read it.
And then I said I'm going to give you a response, and then you asked a response to what? And so I answered the question.
To my tweet about the sheep.
If you didn't want the answer, don't ask the question.
Don't give away the punchline.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a couple of things from the Twitch chat here that are really powerful, and then we'll get to some Chief stuff. Some things from today. One thing we didn't get to yesterday that I think is kind of interesting. Let's see. Where do we go? Yours 5747 on Twitch said 7. You really think you have 7 whole things in common with that weirdo? All right, hold on. Let's see.
You are pretty weird.
Fried chicken is good.
Yep.
Currently wearing a backwards hat. Love-hate relationship with sports.
Sure.
Generally speaking. Patrick Mahomes, good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think, I think that, we should try to eradicate world hunger. Beards is in favor of it.
Doesn't care. To be fair, he's not in favor.
He's in favor of it, actually. I don't kick puppies, so I think I'm still at 4. Yeah, I mean, I might have gotten that one wrong. I've never run over a cat with my car on purpose.
Have you been hit by a car?
No.
Okay.
Guess we both have beards, like not lowercase b.
Mm-hmm.
We're both wearing headphones. That's 6. We got to be pretty close.
Talking into a mic.
Not currently.
Good point.
Got to get one more thing I have in common with beards. I don't hunt.
Between the hours of 7 and 10, when you're here, there is frequently watching the same thing on the TV.
He's usually looking at his computer or
That's a
phone.
Good point.
I don't hunt other people for sport. So I'm trying to come up with one other thing that Beards and I both do.
Reddit?
I don't use Reddit. I mean, I think we're stuck at 6. I overestimated it.
Yeah. Can't think of anything.
I've never defecated in the hallway here. So still 6. Oh, and neither one of us know how to end a bit or when it's appropriate to. 7.
Nailed
we did it.
Got there.
We got it.
Got it.
Also, Iced Pyro on Twitch said, I love milk. Gross. But I had to give it up because it has more calories than Coke. That's crazy to me. Because I just assume every time I drink any sort of, bubbly soda that I'm just putting basically poison into my body, but it's delicious poison.
It's the thing with the Coke is that sugar.
But
that sugar counts high.
There's also,
but milk's not good for you.
That makes sense whenever you think about
it's a huge scam.
How much coffee creamer you might put into a coffee, or if you eat a whole bowl of ice cream, which is basically milk and sugar, basically, right? You are eating dessert. Like if you drank a glass of melted ice cream every day, you would expect the health issues to come with that. We kind of do that.
Yeah, milk's not good for you. Don't drink milk. You're a grown person.
Unless you're a
stop
baby.
Drinking milk. If you're a baby, you're listening to this, you're a cool baby.
It's a cool baby.
Cool baby. What's up, cool babies?
No, that's
Drink
copyrighted, I think.
It is.
We've got to probably... It
definitely is.
I was going to say sick toddler, but that sounds like they're ill. I don't want that either. So
Dope child.
Dope child is pretty good.
What's up, dope children? Thank you for listening.
Here's my new plan. I'm going to try to get a few of these Chiefs things that I think are interesting out there. We'll talk to Kent Swanson of KCSN here in about half an hour, and we'll talk to him about some Chiefs stuff ahead of the first Chiefs preseason game. That's coming out on Saturday. I'll mention this, no Almost Entirely Sports tomorrow, but doing some interesting stuff this weekend that should end up making for some very good stuff either the next couple of weekend mornings or next week on Almost Entirely Sports. Should be neat. So we'll see when we get there.
That's Wallaby on Twitch says. Remember Baby Nut?
Wish I didn't. Are they just rocking with normal Mr. Peanut again?
No, I think they're continuing that whole trend, but he's no longer a baby.
See, do we have Teen Nut at this point? Oh, I hate that. Don't mark it, man. At Mr. Peanut looks to be Mr. Peanut again. He's got the monocle and the full hat. So I think we're back to just Mr. Peanut.
Baby Nut's all grown up. It's a grown-up nut.
Man. They had a tweet on July 26th that said, "It's my fault it's late, but Donda is coming." That's the new Kanye album. Fire emoji, just recording this last verse with an icon. And then it is a cartoon of Mr. Peanut in a studio with Kanye West as in caricature form sitting on the opposite side at the board. This is also how Beards and I see each other, I think. I think this is through the glass.
Yeah.
Beards is Kanye, and I am Mr. Peanut.
You know what?
Mark that one, Beards. I want that one out of context, not the other stuff I said about.
Beards as Kanye makes sense because they are both weird, big old weirdos.
Oh.
Is Kanye still living in Mercedes-Benz Del Marina?
I think so. I think it's just stadium, but it's close. I think he is, because I think he's there till he did.
He said he was there until the album's done. I'm pretty sure.
Well, so he did the whole live event thing, and I watched. Yeah. I watched that. I watched most of that as it was happening, and it was fine. I've got a dangerously hot take about Kanye.
In the world is Kanye West.
Eloy Jimenez just hit a home run into the corn, and it is proof that baseball players can come back from the dead and succeed in Iowa.
That's cool.
That is perfect. Wow, what a full circle. Where was I? What was I going? Oh, I have a take about. I have a hot take about Kanye that I'm almost afraid to put out there because I don't.
Ooh,
do it.
Do it. Nobody's listening.
Do it.
I checked. Nobody's listening.
I just think because of his rightfully earned place as like a musical genius, I think that the default for people is to assume or believe that whatever comes out next or is currently in the works or just came out is also like legendary stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's necessarily true or fair. Now,
that's true and fair.
The last album that came out, it was like a gospel record or whatever. Like people were split on, but because it was totally stylistically different. But like I watched most of the Donda live stream, and most of it was like good. And people were tweeting about how like this album's not even out yet and it's already iconic. And I was like, I don't know that you can say that. I think at some point your words lose their meaning. You are saying this about an album that you've heard through speakers in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Maybe let it come out first. Is everything that Kanye has touched S tier? No. He is absolutely one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic artist of our era. And not every single thing he touches is perfectly gold. I feel like that's okay to say.
As of August 5th, he was still in Mercedes-Benz Del Marina.
You made it Mercedes-Benz.
It is Mercedes-Benz.
We can't do a whole other segment about Rudy mispronouncing something, so let me talk. I really am trying to find this old tweet about the White Sox, honestly, about Eloy Jimenez dying and going to heaven.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly how they worded it, but
I know. I'm trying to. It's like it was like always with us.
Always with us, never forgotten, or something like that.
I don't think they said never forgotten.
I think not forgotten was in there. Like
with us tonight and always.
I mean, they weren't wrong.
It's really good.
R.I.P. in peace.
Rudy, can you talk about either the White Sox or tell me about your experience with Field of Dreams while I shoot off this fire tweet and then we'll get some Chiefs audio.
I've seen the movie once. I didn't watch it for the first time until, oh man, I feel like I was probably, I don't know, 23, 24. I think I was living in Kentucky before I finally watched it. I'm a pretty big, I wouldn't say I'm a huge, Kevin Costner fan, but, I loved The Perfect Game. I was that's one of my all-time favorite movies.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah,
I saw The Rookie with Dennis Quaid.
I saw that too.
Pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same, right?
Pretty much the same. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. I can watch if The Perfect Game's on TV, I can just sit down and watch it. I always have a good time. It's a good movie. So I've always enjoyed Kevin Costner, and Field of Dreams. It's a good, solid movie. It didn't hit me, I think, the way it does for a lot of people, the emotional go play catch with your dad. But also, I was 24 when I watched it, so that's probably why.
Yeah, that probably doesn't help. I remember at my grandparents' house in Wichita, there was a VHS of it, and so you could always just pop it in. I don't know how many times I've seen it. I do have an appreciation for it in a way that I don't for many movies from that era that people usually make fun of me for not having seen. So Rudy, I feel like I've done all right.
Rudy, do you mean for the love of the game, not Perfect Game?
Oh, yeah, it is for the love of the game, but he throws a perfect game in for the love of the game. Yes.
Damn it! It took me too long to get that tweet out, and the Cespedes Family Barbecue account tweeted, Eloy homering in a place famous for dead baseball players is perfect. Damn it! You guys know that I didn't get beat on that.
There was a 7-second delay. I'm not sure about that.
Oh, it makes me so mad that I lost that. Curtis Seabolt just texted for the love of the game. So thank you, Curtis, for also helping correct Rudy, one of my favorite American pastimes.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Is Perfect Game also a baseball movie?
I mean, I would think so.
I'm gonna get my LDT take out here if it kills me.
Yep, Perfect Game. 2009 sports family movie.
How many Kevin Costner baseball movies are there?
Yes.
3 off the top of my head. Bull Durham, For the Love of the Game. There's one where he tries to play catch with his dead dad. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, that one. No one liked that one.
Dreamfield.
Dreamfield has to be a something, right? There's no way that's not a video game or a sci-fi movie, right? Oh, Dreamfield Sports, the NIL marketplace for college athletes. Apparently they work with the Eric King. So there's that. All right. Somebody should do something cooler with the name Dreamfield. Anywho, let me say the one. I say let me say like someone else has been interrupting me this whole time. We're all trying to find whoever did this.
Eloy will come.
John Schmaltz. Why did I?
Schultz, I think.
John Schmaltz is wearing a paperboy cap, and it's in a vest with a tie. Joe Buck is out there with a bow tie
and no jacket.
No, can't go jacket the Field of Dreams, man. Otherwise, you gotta go save a kid who's choking on a hot dog falling off a bleacher. I think if you're that fancy.
What?
Oh yeah, you haven't seen it.
No.
These are all real things.
Yeah.
We're talking about real stuff that actually happens in this movie, Beards, and you've got no point of reference for it.
Nope.
This must be how people. Darth Vader's in it. How does that make you feel?
Okay.
More likely to watch it now, by a little bit at least?
Not really.
I really liked Waterworld with Kevin Costner.
I never saw Waterworld.
Everybody hates it. That's why I love it.
Only heard that it's bad, so that makes sense, I guess.
That's what makes it so good. They're making a TV show sequel to Waterworld. Yes, I think I is it on Paramount Plus? I think.
No.
What? Why? Who asked for that?
The world asked for it, Josh.
The Waterworld asked.
What is it? I just want to know what it's called. I don't know if there's a pun in it. We're going to have to take another break and then come back with my LDT take.
Waterworld TV series in the works with Dan Trachtenberg attached to direct. Let's see. It would follow the characters from the 1995 movie, 20 years later. Does it have where it would be?
Is Kevin Costner in it?
For now, okay. For now, it's a Universal Television, and we're putting it together. But yes, we think it already has a home at a Fox, perhaps signaling a Peacock deal given Universal Television's involvement. So we get Peacock, Waterworld sequel.
Is Kevin Costner in it?
I I think he's a little busy with Yellowstone.
Is Kevin Costner in Yellowstone?
Yeah.
I think so.
He's like the main guy, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like his show.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I've not watched it, which is going to obviously make sense. Given
I've
the
heard
fact that
very
I
good
didn't
things.
know
I just
Kevin
haven't
Costner
watched
was
it.
in
I've heard the scenery is beautiful. It's just like the background. It's just mountains in like every scene.
There's nothing that this show is better at than I've heard great things about it. I've never
Pop
watched it.
culture.
Like it just never that never fails. There's so many things like that are. By the way, Beards, I've now left your HBO Max account.
Oh, good.
Can I? I got to bring this up.
Okay.
It's very funny, and I forgot to mention it to you off air, which like you're not gonna get in trouble or anything. But it was just very funny, and it's going to be funny, I hope. So I was logged in on my TV to your HBO Max account. I think genuinely the only thing I watched on it was Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Why is my phone buzzing so much? I'm starting to get nervous.
Oh boy.
It's Curtis providing more context to all of the things that
Waterworld?
none of us know about. I'm not sure. I'm doing
Curtis,
a radio.
give me Waterworld fun facts.
I'm doing a radio. Well, yeah. Curtis. Hey, Curtis, you text Rudy about
Curtis?
fun Waterworld facts. Just not even for the show, just in his free time. But so
Curtis, hop on the Twitch.
I opened up your HBO Max for the first time in a very long time, Beards. I need you to either swig that water fast and turn the microphone back on, because I'm going to need you quick to represent yourself in this court.
Okay.
And I opened it back up because Renee was like, all right, this is insane. But a show that I've seen has gotten like good reviews that seems insane. It's called F-Boy Island.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm just not in the headspace to watch. This was a few nights ago after the show or whatever.
I've heard about this.
And
show.
I was like, we can see if there's like a trailer. She's like, see if there's a trailer. I was like, fine. And I went and clicked over to it. And it wanted to play the last episode because the entire series had already been played on Beards' HBO Max account.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think it was in anyone else's login other than yours. So, Beards, is
Yeah.
F-Boy Island on your shot clock reviews for whenever we do that next or what?
I can add it.
I want to know everything about you watching a show called F-Boy Island.
Okay.
And I'd like you to start now. Have you been watching this by yourself? Do you have a deep love of reality TV shows? Is this a show that you and Rebecca are watching together? I need every bit of information I can get right now, please.
Right now? You don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. I
Yeah.
need more than 24
Yeah.
seconds about this right now because I saw that and I was like, this is junior. I mean, I was floored. If you would have had me rank everything on HBO Max, that would have been the last thing I would have guessed that you would watch the entire show of.
That's fair.
That and Field of Dreams.
I would have put
I don't
Field
know
of
if
Dreams
that's-
above
I don't
it.
know if that's on HBO.
What? Go.
I had seen the trailer or whatever, and just the like. I'm not really a reality TV person fan. Other
That's
than,
what I
like,
thought.
The Amazing Race. I loved The Amazing Race. That was
Amazing
great.
Race was great.
Yeah. The like, kind of in my head as I viewed this, kind of like the spy sussing out of like who was on which side because
I don't know the plot of the show at all.
because there's two divisions of dudes, right?
'Kay.
There's the nice guys and then the not nice
The
guys.
Yeah,
F-Boys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And they don't tell you who's who.
Okay, great.
You know a couple.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
like one or two at the beginning.
Yeah.
And like for me, that was like, oh, okay, try and figure out who's who.
You're
and that,
basically
and that kind of thing.
playing. You're basically playing Clue with just a bunch of hot young people on
Sure.
an island, presumably.
Sure. Yeah. And then I was, this kind of interesting. Like it's dumb.
Sure.
There's actually some funny like production stuff that they do. Not joking at all. There's actually some
I
funny
believe
stuff
you.
that they do.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think you would lie to me about
But
this.
then like about halfway through, there was this twist, and it kind of ruined it for me.
Okay, but it was like 7 episodes, right?
I think that something like that. But at that point, I'm just like kind of invested, and I don't want to like completely just quit at that point. So I'm just
Sure.
You're
like, fine.
addicted.
I was bored here one day when I was running I think a.
So
baseball
you
game or
have been
something.
watching this by
Yes,
yourself.
Yes.
Awesome. I mean, just could not possibly make me happier. So good. I will also now. I have no choice but to also watch F-Boy Island. I will tell Renee about this development. And I mean this joy that I feel in my soul right now is going to get me through the rest of the show tonight. I'm gonna be able to ride this wave maybe for days. Makes me so happy. Anyway, I'm going to finally log out of your HBO Max account, not because I started paying for it, but because I was thinking about it, so I wouldn't have to use your account for things, because there are a handful of things. I want to go watch Barry, and Renee apparently wants to watch F-Boy Island, and now I want to watch F-Boy Island also. And so I was like really thinking about, you know what, I just might need to pay for HBO Max.
It's good. It's worth it.
And then my friend Darren texted me and was like, hey, by the way, I made you guys a login on my HBO Max account. I was like, sweet. I mean, my friend's not Darren, and is that illegal?
Not basement Darren. No, it's not illegal. If they have profiles, that's what the point of the profiles is
right.
for.
And I was logged in on like Beards' profile with other I just thought, you know what? I'm gonna see. Maybe I just get my own. And then Darren came through. Yeah. But not until after I had found out that F-Boy Island had been fully watched on your account.
I still got a couple episodes left.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not done.
Yeah, please put that on Shot Clock Reviews because I would like the 24-second just the hard analysis of the show. But I was much more interested in just sort of that process, because it was just so jarring to me.
I'm sure.
Nothing would have surprised. Almost nothing would have surprised me more. I could have walked in here one day to you just eating just a head of broccoli, a raw head of broccoli, and that would have surprised me less than clicking the Beards McFly profile on HBO Max and seeing a fully watched series of F-Boy Island.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Came back here, worked from here for a little bit, and went, I'm going to grab some lunch. And then I started to drive over to Taco Bell because, you know, if it's my last meal, at least I go out on top, right? I was going to Taco Bell.
Of the toilet?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Good timing, Beards. Could have gotten that one a half a second sooner. Would have been a killer joke.
New Year, save me.
with Joshua Brisco.
It's a delay.
Yeah, we're on Thailand.
It's a technical delay, yeah.
We're back in the studio, just for everyone who doesn't know that. Technical delay is just Beards' brain.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
That's a good one, Beards.
It is.
That one got a little smile and then a laugh out loud and then another laugh. I cracked myself up.
Got some lulls there.
That's really good. One thing that Rudy said during the break that I would like to make clear here is that I think this is Rudy and I giving Beards a full round of applause for doing the most surprising out of his comfort zone thing. Beards, we're all very proud of you.
Yep.
Now
will you try an apple?
Will you eat
any fruit you choose?
Will you eat a coconut in solidarity with the people on F-Boy Island?
With the boys in Limbro. Which is a good name.
Have you? Oh, wow, I didn't get it until you said it that time.
Yeah.
Beards explained that during the break, and then Rudy just said it, and then I got it.
Yeah.
So it's like they're in
Limbro is,
limbo.
Good, but they're bros. Limbro is a good name.
I told you, there's some decent production stuff that they do on that show. That's pretty good.
I would just want to make as clear as possible. I do not mean to put you on the stand to make you defend your choices.
No, I know.
I just wanted to know how it happened because it was so shocking to me.
Oh, I know.
And I'm thrilled for it. And so I will now probably end up watching that as well. Because it sounds incredible.
It's dumb entertainment.
Yeah. And not,
Sometimes you just
like
need
this
some dumb
show.
entertainment in your life.
I love that we all went in the same joke and all tried to fire off the shot. And it was all kind of half-cocked. And I can say that word in that context, right? And it was half-loaded. And none of us really got there.
I nailed it.
Beards went very direct and loud. Rudy went a little more subtle and a little quieter, and I was going to go the most subtle and the quietest, and it all just sort of, you know what we were left in?
The pre-prime?
We were left in Limbro. Beards just dropped his pen. Just threw his pen down. Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Here's the issue is that right now is the pocket in which I need like 3 minutes to do the LBT thing.
You got about 3 minutes.
But it feels so ridiculous to have this show be 45 to 50 minutes of Field of Dreams, Go-Gurt,
Limbro,
F-Boy Island,
Kanye,
and then all of a sudden, do I have a nonsense thing? Oh, you know what? Here, this is vaguely sportsy, but it's not gonna knock your whole day off its side. There is this, let's see here, Built Bar, a Utah-based company.
The travesty in college athletics.
Yes, I am here to squish out.
NIL is destroying college sports.
Destroying it. Built Bar is paying all of the players on the BYU team to wear like a patch or a thing on their helmet during practices and to do appearances with the company. Mm-hmm. They're paying every player on the team the cost of their tuition to be a part of this sort of large name, image, likeness deal. And it was presented as they're doing it for the walk-ons. Apparently, they're doing it for the entire team. But it gives those guys some cash, but it pays the tuition of a bunch of guys who have basically decided that their full-time job is going to be, they're going to be in college, paying their own way. But as of literally 90 days ago, they have to do that while paying for their own tuition there's not enough time in the day to take another job that will pay off your tuition this way. And now, every walk-on the BYU football team does not have to worry about tuition. They have to worry about showing up to a few events for Built Bar and wearing a decal on their helmets. And it's awesome. Like, that is objectively, you want to talk about finding good stories in sports. Walk-ons, we all love the videos whenever the walk-on players become scholarship players. Well, BYU just got that for 36 guys. 36 walk-ons.
36 guys now don't have to worry about essentially
staying in
adding
school.
Student loan debt.
Yep.
Which just, man, like 36 guys, their life after college just got so much easier.
Significantly better.
They now just have like a chance to like do something with their life. So like maybe take a little bit of a risk and try to start something because they're now not spending thousands of dollars a month on student loans.
What would you know about that, Rudy?
Nothing.
But so 90 days ago, this incredibly obvious feel-good story that is exactly what you want from college sports was illegal.
Yep.
And what I really would like to underline and just pound into the table, something that every level-headed person has been saying for years now in response to the one argument that I got so sick of. So this name, image, likeness stuff, it's going to be great for the Zion Williamsons, but what about the 57th guy on the BYU football roster? They don't have student debt anymore. Because of a company that sees this as a good investment for their brand, who has gotten, I still don't really know what Built Bar is. I know it's alcohol-based because it's BYU. It's some sort of thing like that, I believe. Yeah. They've gotten all this advertising. They're going to keep getting it.
Yep.
And it's helped everybody on that football team. Yep. So congratulations, everyone who made the dumbest argument in college sports.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
This is SportsCenter.
Hello there. I'm Mark Robbins. What a great night for baseball in Iowa, the Field of Dreams. And the game, I think a huge success going on right now, White Sox and Yankees. And I'll tell you what, Chicago's finding the cornfields within easy reach.
And he injured himself and finally came back here toward the end of July as he drives one to right. Back and deep toward the corner, gone! Opposite field homer. Eloy Jimenez, a 3-run blast, and the White Sox reclaim the lead.
All the fun on ESPN Radio right now. Third homer of the game for the White Sox, who lead it in the bottom of the fifth, 7-3 over the Yankees, and you can catch the rest of it on ESPN Radio. And, of course, on the app. Milwaukee 17-4. Brewers beat the Cubs. That is 8 straight wins for the Brew Crew over the Cubs. Oakland demolished Cleveland 17-4. Tampa Bay beat Boston 8-1. In the NBA, Kawhi Leonard signs a 4-year, $176.3 million contract to stay with the LA Clippers. NFL preseason football, couple of games on the schedule for tonight. Washington with a 7-6 lead at the half over the Patriots. Halftime in Philadelphia, the Eagles, Joe Flacco throwing a TD pass, leading Pittsburgh 16-7. Russell Henley shoots an 8-under-62. He's got the lead late in the first round of the Wyndham Classic in Greensboro. No spectators at qualifying rounds for the U.S. Open later this month, but the U.S. Tennis Association says there will be fans available to go on April 30th.
Hey, it's Greeny, and Friday will be the first football Friday of the season. Looking back on the preseason Week 1 games, we got 2 to talk about. We'll break all that down and more. See you then. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN Plus.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
But whenever Cutlass had the heel turn of just doing like worship albums, I just had to pull that parachute, man. It was bad.
How does that even work?
You are my strong tower, fortress when I'm weak.
Oh no! Oh,
Your word is good and holy. Your face is all I see.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You know, the last hour of radio is a whole lot of fun, lots of goofs and ha-has, but it's nice to know that things will finally get back on the rails as we talk to our very serious Chiefs expert, Kent Swanson. Back on the show again tonight. You of course, can follow him on Twitter at Kent_Swanson. You can read his work at kcsn.substack.com for the KC Sports Network Substack, also kcsportsnetwork.com, where you can buy T-shirts, by the way. Kent, are you happy to be the guy that gets us back on the rails tonight?
Oh, yes, a very serious segment of sports talk coming, I'm quite sure. There's no way that this gets derailed in any way, shape, or form.
How do you feel about the Field of Dreams game?
See, we're starting already.
It's sports! It's sports!
You know what? I haven't watched a second of it, but I think the concept's great. Like hitting dingers into a cornfield is pretty cool.
That did it for me. Like, I'm watching it because there's a TV in front of me. If I was at home, if this was on a Saturday, would I be watching it? I don't know. But because I can watch it, I've just enjoyed seeing baseballs fly into corn stalks.
Here's the amazing thing about this. I'm pretty sure that the preseason football game on NFL Network is going to outdo this attempt to be relevant by Major League Baseball.
Yep.
Like, that's the reality of the situation. Is Mac Jones throwing balls into the ground and underthrowing a dig route is going to do better than Jose Abreu hitting it literally into a cornfield.
Eloy Jimenez coming back from the dead, a la Field of Dreams classic, is less interesting than watching Chase Young just obliterate some poor left tackle.
So Eloy came back like 2 weeks ago, right?
It's been a little longer than that, but
Has it been a little longer?
I think so.
Because I was going to say, like, if you're the White Sox,
just hold him out until this game.
You just have to hold him out until this game.
And let him come out of the cornfield.
And this is when you announce it. Like, the White Sox just had a chance to captivate the world.
It's kind of a bummer. I didn't get a chance to talk to Eloy in the afterlife when we were both dead together. It's kind of a bummer. I was really hoping to get a chance to talk to him. But, we're both back. So maybe we have a shared experience now. We need to talk.
Are you a Field of Dreams guy? I can see you having a soft spot for Field of Dreams. I could also see you just thinking it's the corniest thing in the world. No pun intended.
It is. It's the corniest baseball movie I've seen.
That's true.
No, I never. I wasn't that big of a Field of Dreams guy. Give me the Sandlot 10 times out of 10. Give me Bull Durham 10 times out of 10. Like rookie of the year, Little Big League. Yeah, we can go on and on. It's okay. It just didn't hit the same chords for me.
Dennis Quaid or Kevin Costner?
Costner, easily.
It just doesn't feel like that matched up with what you just said, though. Like, it feels like if you're like Kevin Costner, obviously, moron, like you would have also have a soft spot for Field of Dreams.
You know Kevin Costner's in Bull Durham, right?
Yeah, that was established canonically earlier in this show. That was, yes. I mean, I just feel like Am I going to get in trouble if I say that I think Field of Dreams is like more currently relevant than Bull Durham is? Some old man is going to break into 810 and beat me with a baseball
Considering
bat.
they're playing a baseball game in a Field of Dreams, I do think it is more
culturally relevant.
However,
as
hold
it stands.
on, Rudy. There is an entire minor league baseball team that plays, in Durham called the Durham Bulls. I'm just saying. But you know what? I'm not sure Kevin Costner's hung out there very often. So there's that.
All right, I'm just gonna do it, and then
what's your feelings on Waterworld?
I watched like, I don't know, 20 minutes of Waterworld one time on a Sunday afternoon on Fox.
Yeah.
It was a complete waste of time.
Will you watch the TV show that's coming out, the sequel to Waterworld, following the characters 20 years later?
Seems unlikely, Rudy.
No, that's not real. That's not happening.
It's 100%. Well, they are in talks of making Waterworld to the TV show.
Is Costner in it?
That was my question. Rudy doesn't have an answer to that question.
We don't have an answer for that yet. It just depends on how Yellowstone's going.
And I have no clue what happens at the end of Waterworld. Kevin Costner could be dead at the end of that movie. I have no clue, so I don't even know if that's part of the plot. I don't even know if he can make it back and it makes sense in the script. No clue at all.
If Eloy Jimenez can make it back, I think Kevin Costner
clearly can. I'm going to roll a hand grenade out, and then I'm going to push back away from my microphone. I'm just going to say this because I think I'll feel better after I say it. I've never seen Bull Durham.
What? Okay, it's like one of the most easily accessible movies. It's somewhere on, if you have any streaming platform, it's or a TV subscription, you'll be able to find it on TV somewhere. So just go watch it. It's a delight. It's a good movie.
I watched the trailer of For the Love of the Game because Curtis texted it to me. Should I watch that?
Yeah. Hey, Costner's in that too. Costner's basically lived all of our dreams is getting to pretend to be a Major League Baseball player, a golfer, an NFL GM. I mean, he hasn't done any of the, he hasn't done all of them well. Draft Day is a bad movie, but at least he got to pretend to be a GM for 3 months.
I still haven't seen Draft Day.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it just hasn't forced its way to the top of my list.
Yeah.
But I feel like I would enjoy just live tweeting it. Basically, I think that might just need to be in my future at some point.
Josh,
it seems insane.
Well, I'll tell you what. Well, I have the movie. Here's the thing. I watch it every year. I admit it's a horrendous movie. Awful. And it's a disgrace to what everyone loves about the NFL draft. And I don't care because it's like Aaron Sorkin's not setting up to write a Draft Day movie. So it's all we have. It's all we have. And so I'll tell you what. I'll have you over. You can come out and hang out in the suburbs. Maybe we'll make some ribs. We'll make a day out of it. We'll enjoy Draft Day. Well, we'll watch Draft Day. I don't know if we'll enjoy it.
He was the guy who wrote Draft Day was a Pulitzer Prize finalist.
Not a winner.
Well, not for Draft Day.
Not for Draft Day. That's correct. That's absolutely true. All right. Well, we've gotten an hour and 10 minutes into this show without talking about the Chiefs, and I feel like someone listening somewhere probably would like to hear you talk about the Chiefs for a second. So maybe we should do that here because the training camp is not over, but there are no more practices because until after the first preseason games. We're fully in look-ahead mode, if you want. We've got a whole bunch of TikToks that have made it out on Twitter that you can watch the video of. You've been out there. I've been out there. We've got some training camp observations. You've written several things up in the Substack. Again, kcsn.substack.com. Go sign up for it. I don't know. I want to circle back on your guy 53-man roster guys to watch in the preseason thing in a second. But if I give you the entire scope of training camp so far, is there anything that stuck out to you where you've been this is clearly for me, this is what I am interested in, even if it's not necessarily the biggest storyline?
Well, it is the biggest storyline. It's Chris Jones being dropped into an absolutely perfect situation for his skill set, and I am so geeked out to see how this unfolds because, I think I don't want to say it's not Chris Jones is he fits in any scheme. I'm not trying to completely say that's not the case, but like the typical Steve Spagnuolo defensive end is in 320, 330. And he hasn't typically played with some of these lighter guys. You've kind of started to see him shift away from that the last couple of years. Chris Jones lightens up a little bit and turns into this versatile piece that can line up anywhere on the offensive or along the defensive line and basically pick on any offensive lineman the Chiefs want to that week.
Mm-hmm.
And he's shown such an ability, to really translate because he's turning the corner well. His flexibility, like he's very obviously improved his flexibility. I think he's going to continue to operate, with power through tackles, but like he's actually shown the ability to kind of soften in the corner and turn him a little bit. That little piece to his game and, maybe being set up a little bit better on some of those early downs, against the run. It's just, it's a match made in heaven, and I'm so glad that they finally kind of put him in this hybrid role because I genuinely think this could be the career year for Chris Jones.
Yeah, I think I do not think that's an overreaction. And a month ago, you and I probably talked about this a little bit. I know I brought this up with Craig a couple times on the show of like, I am just made nervous by taking maybe the second best interior pass rusher in football and pushing him out to a different position and seeing if that works. Like that just as a concept sort of freaks me out a little bit. But every single thing he's done in camp has just been, it seemed immaculate. Like, I don't know if you had skepticism really, or what your level of concern might have been about that transition, but it just feels like it's completely at zero now.
There was some concern because you saw him try to play defensive end a couple years ago, and it was ugly because you put him in space and you make him the player kind of in conflict on like a zone read or the backside of a play. It could be a little bit ugly, but I think even, going to camp and seeing him do that, and being a little bit more comfortable there has been massive. It's been, it's stopped that in its track. And honestly, like, I don't think Chris Jones isn't going to rush from the interior. Like, I still think he's going to do that plenty. I just think on some of the base downs, like, Chris Jones, like, there's some inconsistencies with how he operates against the run along the interior. He likes to kind of take some chances and guess, and like when it works, it's awesome. Mm-hmm. And it's, he makes, a lot of plays and negative plays behind the line of scrimmage, but there can be some reliability, consistency concerns from a scheme perspective. So you kick him outside, if he's a little bit, it's kind of a trade-off too, I think. It's like, hey, Chris, we're going to let you do what you want to do. We're going to let you kind of play this hybrid role that you've been wanting to play the last couple of years, being a little bit different. Execution, he's probably not shooting gaps and guessing outside. Like his assignments are going to change. They're forcing his hand a little bit. This could be the best in both worlds because now you're getting a little more bulky along the interior. Jaron Reed and Derek Nottie along the interior, Frank Clark and Chris Jones. And that's a nasty front.
Yeah,
that's a really tough front to run against, and it's tougher than anything that we've seen in the Steve Spagnuolo era.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And between Jones and Reed, just sort of trampling around the field at camp, I've been made very excited by both of them. The other thing that I think is maybe the next biggest storyline that I don't know, maybe we've said everything that can be said about Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, and I know that we want to see that offensive line all together in the first preseason game, and maybe we see Mike Rimmers back at practice today, which is obviously good. Are you okay, Kent? You're breathing very heavily.
I don't know. I'm not breathing. I don't know if it's my breath. I don't know what's going on, man.
You don't sound out of breath when you're talking.
I don't know. Here, let me change my setting. Let me change my setting on my phone real quick.
This is like the ghost of Kevin Costner.
Is there someone else? Are you on a landline and someone else in the house is listening on another handset?
I think so. That's probably what it is. My 5-year-old, who just started kindergarten today, is probably listening in right now.
This sounds worse, by the way.
Oh my God!
Like this is passable, but before it was like really good to the extent that I could hear when I was asking your questions. You just kind of try laboring to keep up. Yeah.
So this is even worse.
Yeah. No. I mean, your audio quality was best. However we started the segment. That was peak Kent.
Well, let me go back. Let's try this again. This is peak radio.
Yeah,
right
no,
here.
I mean, I think I was just having the thought of like, I got to pull together a few things that we're going to play kind of in a pregame show we're doing on Saturday ahead of the preseason game. And even like whenever I text you, like, hey, you want to do the show on Thursday? I was like, oh, that's great. I'll be able to take like basically 20 straight minutes probably of, can't stand what to look forward to in the preseason game and bring that back to the people on Saturday. And now I'm just sort of realizing that
you ruined
it's all unusable.
Great. So is this better?
No, right, Beards? You also think no? Go ahead and talk more, Kent.
Yeah, talk more.
Yeah, you're putting me on the spot.
This is the worst of all of them so far. This is the worst it's been.
This sounds fine.
It sounds fine, but the best you sounded was at the beginning. It was just whenever you weren't talking, it was breathy, and I was worried about you. I wasn't sure if we'd interrupted a jog or something.
I wonder if it was rubbing up. My mic was rubbing up against my KC Sports Network T-shirt that you can buy.
That might have been it.
That are now available. That's what I'm wondering.
Were you using the mic, like the inline mic?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say go back to that, and also then that'll give people a chance to be able to match your choice of clothing at kcsportsnetwork.com, where, again, it will not get me in trouble to tell you that you can support them there, unlike that one time where Kent got really mad at me for saying the URL of their website.
It might.
I know. It was, I got caught because, they were available, but we weren't necessarily advertising them yet, and I didn't want to be the first time we advertised it to be on your show.
Well, I did want it to be that, so, and it was.
That hurts.
I just didn't want to steal BJ's thunder.
I wish I knew who was hosting the KU podcast where the art is blurred out, because it would be so funny for me to break that on here right after ruining your guys' shirt launch.
Yeah, I won't break that, but it is good. I will tell you that.
Is it Josh?
It's not me.
It's not Josh.
It's not me.
It's Renee.
Wow. Got to tell you what, man. I do not think it's playing to her strong suits, but her phone audio quality does sound better than your current one does. So
maybe she can get Dr. Professor to help out.
Dr. Professor, much more up their alley for sure. Now, what is your current? Walk me through your current setup, Kent.
So I have the headphones back in.
Okay.
But I have intentionally pulled the mic. Like I'm holding the mic. Is this just horrendous? Do I need to hang up?
It sounds like you're calling through a blender.
Just fine.
No, this is fine.
This sounds fine.
This is fine. This is fine.
Okay.
It's
Josh
fine.
maybe exaggerating a little bit.
No,
the breathing was definitely weird.
You could hear it, right?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, but the quality has been. You sound fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you were okay. Basically, this is where I was at.
I am okay. And don't blame the shirt, blame the user, because the shirt's great, it's comfortable, and it's available. You can go to kcsportsnetwork.com and find a link to purchase one.
And if you buy 3 more, then Kent can finally buy AirPods like the rest of us.
I'm gonna have to. I mean, if I'm gonna come hang out with you, I think I gotta sound a little bit better than I do today.
I will not talk to anyone who wears headphones with wires at this point in my life. So this is not in person, at least. I don't want to catch their pour. Let's talk about Go ahead, Kent. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go. Fine. Just keep slandering. Keep slandering my good name. It's great.
What was that noise in the background? Was it a squeak? Everything okay?
That might be my baby.
That might be your baby. If you need to take care of a living child, a human being, then
we're good. I think
okay.
we're good.
All right.
My wife got him.
I do feel like we've sort of beaten some of training camp into the ground at this point, just because it's all we've all had to talk about. And we do have the actual game on Saturday, and you can read about this in the latest edition from Kent on the Substack, kcsn.substack.com. You pick some guys that you are excited to see that need to perform pretty well to cement their spot. I'm gonna gloss over Bo Pete Keys because right now I don't know that he will play at all. After I think they said it was a dislocated.
Aged really well. That aged really well.
Yeah, I mean it would have been right if his digits would have all stayed in the right place, but it is what it is. And I don't know, that obviously doesn't necessarily bode well for him because it doesn't seem like a serious enough injury to be the IR stash, but it seems like Devin Key is right there. And so I'm going to skip to Devin Key, and if you want to weave in any Bo Pete Key's thoughts with him as well, I'd like to hear it. But I know you've been pretty high on Devin Key for a minute over there at KCSN, and it seems like at this point it is too late to buy Devin Key stock. The market has closed.
Yeah, no, I I feel very confident that he's going to ultimately end up on this 53-man roster. I think this is one of the big tests for him, though. These 3 preseason games, because guys can show up and they can play well in camp and they can have good camps. And if the lights don't, when the lights come on, things don't go the same way. It's not great. This is one of those big tests, believe it or not, I think, for him. If he can kind of show that he's capable of doing all the stuff he's done during this entire summer, I think that's, it's good for him. And I think that really kind of locks things in for him if he can just go out and do what he's been doing in camp, which, I think he's been better in coverage than I saw when he was at Western Kentucky, which is saying a lot. I think the athletic profile is very much there. He's an NFL quality caliber, athlete. And I think, the instincts have done a decent job kicking in here at camp, and it's been fun to watch. And hopefully, if he does it this week, I think it's Sharpie. I think it's Sharpie for a Devin Key.
You touched on some of the things there, but I'm curious both what you think makes him a guy that is going to very likely at this point make his way onto this roster, and then also what it was at Western Kentucky that kept him from getting drafted at all. What is the mix of talent and pros and cons there that creates that a very unique case?
Yeah, it is a pretty unique case. I think the things that you like about him that are going to keep him on this roster, just from a physical profile, he's one of the bigger safeties on this roster, and he can play in the box. So I think at bare minimum, he's a guy that can play on special teams at a high level. So that's a positive play for him there. I'm a little surprised he didn't get drafted. There's some people I think that kind of had him in that late day 3 kind of range. It sounds like the Chiefs might have even been trying to move up. I think it might be Matt Vaderam, reported that.
Yep.
That maybe late day 3, there's some teams that were kind of sniffing around looking to get him. But
it honestly sort of from Matt sounded a little bit like if the Chiefs didn't end up making the call on Trey Smith, it might have been Devin Key in that spot, which is super interesting.
Well, I think he was worth a pick.
Yes.
Based on what I've seen. I don't think the coverage skills were perfect coming out. I think that might have been some of it. Although there's some plays I thought he did some really good things. The building blocks I think were there in coverage. There were some signs there that I really liked. Especially in man coverage, there were some really good plays where he was such a good athlete. He was sitting on top of a tight end trying to run down the seam, kind of cut him off. He squeezed him to the sideline, did some really good stuff there. But I think there was some inconsistencies with some of his zone instincts. I think they've been better. I think that's one thing I've noticed. I feel like he's been a guy that has done pretty good, with his instincts in coverage. There's some plays I think at Western Kentucky where maybe he didn't break down in space and he kind of got beat up a little bit in space by some offensive players. But it's not really a great setting to understand and see that kind of stuff the same way here at training camp. But those are some of the things that I think might have kept him from getting drafted. There's always some scenarios here and there for some of these guys that you're not quite sure, medical or some other stuff there. You never know entirely. You don't have the whole picture there, so there could have been some of that too. But I think the guy we've seen is it's like the Chiefs. Again, this is why this is why I love lottery tickets, because you stumble into a guy like this that turns into a player that's worth an extra draft pick to you. And I think he in a redraft, just based on what we've seen, the Chiefs would take him if they had an extra pick for sure.
Yeah. If we're doing kind of the stock watch thing, it seems like it's a pretty short list here because I don't think people like to say this dude's had a bad camp, therefore he stinks. But it seems sort of like Cornell Powell is one of the very few guys that you've seen a relative decrease in terms of hype volume. I'm going to be curious just to see when he plays against the Niners, because I think that'll be a pretty good indicator of where he's at right now. But you wrote about him a little bit in the same piece here. What are you looking for? And also, again, I'm just very interested in how something like training camp can impact your evaluation. If you can also give us a little refresher of what you liked and didn't like out of Clemson, what you thought may or may not happen out of the gate, and now where he's at, and then what it looks like that he could be able to put on tape over the course of the preseason.
Powell was creating pretty consistent separation and winning at the catch point well against some very talented competition late in the year. He was one of the better college wide receivers, I think, down the stretch, and that really hasn't translated the same. There was some buzz, I think, coming out early. I think Louis Riddick gassed him up a little bit, shortly after it happened, and I was pretty excited about him too, because this is a guy that had to cut his teeth on special teams at Clemson to get those opportunities to finally see the field his senior year. And, it seemed like he really made the most of those opportunities. A high football character kid. So, I think at bare minimum, there's a quality special teams player in there. But, man, you would like to see him making more progress and stepping out and maybe, stepping out above some of these, other wide receivers there in the mix at the bottom of this roster. And I don't think we've really seen him separate literally and figuratively. He's struggled to really gain consistent separation at the top of his routes. He's made a couple plays that have been really impressive, catching the football in traffic and being physical and catching the ball, at the catch point. But I mean, that's not a skill that I'm super excited about. That's not something that you're getting, overly excited about. I think personally, if it's just a guy winning at the catch point and in a jump ball situation, why is it always like that for him? Why isn't he creating consistent separation? That's my question with Cornell Powell. Kind of, I know Jody Fortson's kind of a favorite, but that's one of my questions with him. If he's not creating consistent separation, these jump ball guys, how often is Patrick Mahomes trusting those guys to go up and get a football, So those are the questions I'm having about guys like that.
I'm glad you mentioned Fortson, because that is exactly who I thought of as you were going through all of that. But for Fortson, it's been like this multi-year experiment, and now he legitimately looks like a tight end as opposed to being, trying to be a receiver, kind of a tweener. I feel like some of those jump ball things and not creating as much separation as a tight end rather than a receiver, you probably have a little longer leash for if he can do other stuff with his body at the point of the catch and all that. Maybe not. But with Cornell Powell, the talk immediately was, I wonder how long it'll take for him to replace Sammy Watkins. And I also don't know how fair it is to say that for any first-year player in Andy Reid's offense, right? I'm also kind of hyphy for Noah Gray, but it's relatively kind of tamped down just because he is a rookie in the offense. So, but it's also kind of disappointing for the hype train to have run out, by early August.
Well, I think there was some legitimate buzz there early in the process. I really do. And I think I think he's let's just say he's fallen off. He's fallen, I don't want to say out of grace, that's not fair, but I think that he's fallen down the depth chart a little bit throughout the process. Mm-hmm. There was some plays he was making, reportedly, some really great catches that profile as that X-type receiver. And slowly, as we've kind of gone throughout the preseason, it's not really held up. And you wish it would. And there's still time. There's still weeks left in this process, and maybe it just took him a little bit of time to get up to speed.
And also, if he basically redshirts this year and then does some of that stuff next season, that is a valued fifth-round draft pick choice. That would be okay also. But the receiver group is interesting, and it does feel like there's kind of some room there for, for somebody to step up and earn a little bit of a role. I don't know if this is that would be the next sort of thing up in terms of just stuff you're looking for, but I personally am excited to see both how long that first-team offensive line gets. Andy Reid said it's the first quarter, and we'll see. He has said something to that effect and then either gone longer or shorter in years past with some of the starters. But do you think there's much you can take away in terms of how the offensive line looks as a unit going up against guys not wearing red for the first time? I guess the Niners also wear some form of red, so that's probably a poor choice of words. But not wearing red and gold. Dang it! You get it.
Yeah, no, I think there's stuff you can take away. I don't think this is just a completely fruitless effort. Orlando Brown Jr. and we can speak from a macro and micro level. From a high level, you want to see the offensive line starting to gel, the communication to be good, the protection to be sound, and if there is any blitzing from San Francisco, doing a good job identifying it. But I mean, on a micro level, you want to see Orlando Brown Jr. There's, he's, maybe done some things, in one-on-one. So, he's kind of said he's, maybe not. He's kind of working on technique. He's working on different things that the Chiefs are asking him to do in some of these one-on-one situations that make him look worse than he is. But what's he look like in a game setting, in a real game setting? Is it as bad as maybe it's looked at times? Lucas Niang, same thing. Mm-hmm. Look, I like Lucas Niang. I like his long-term outlook, and I think he's done. I think he's gotten a little bit better every day that I've seen him. But it's been marginal growth, and where he started was pretty rough. Mm-hmm. So hopefully he continues to take steps, and hopefully this is a positive trend for him after this game, because he needs to get caught up to speed pretty quickly. This will be the first time he's played a game in 600. I did the math at one point. Well, no, I Googled the math at one point. It was over 600 days since he's last played in an official football game.
Wow.
And so this is a really big opportunity for him. He needs the entirety of this preseason to get some reps. So there's some micro, macro, outlooks here with this offensive line. I'm super fascinated. I think it's the biggest storyline.
Yeah, I do too. I like that. And I also like talking to you, Kent. Thank you for letting us interrupt your jog and for pulling.
Did it sound any better? Did it sound any better on the back end?
Yes.
You sound totally fine.
I didn't hear the breathing as much on the back end or whatever that was.
You yourself never sounded bad. It did definitely sound like a dog had picked up the phone and was just breathing into it.
I've literally, I wish I could take a picture of myself. I'm like holding my lapel mic away from my face right now.
You don't have to explain it to me because I can visualize it perfectly because it is exactly what my dad does on the phone.
Chaotic Warrior on Twitch did ask if Kent was jogging earlier.
Saw that. Very good. But literally, it is literally what my dad's move is. It's like, you can probably just let it dangle there, but maybe he can't. Maybe he's known better than me this whole time, and I just needed to, have Kent on the show again to realize the error of my ways. So
these are just things
I
know.
You know what? There's worse things than having something in common with your dad. Let's just say that.
Yeah, that's true, but there are further implications that I don't care for. But for you, I can see why that would be a real joy. Do you have something else in the can coming for KCSN before the game? You have something planned for after the game to tell people about, and also if you have anything else you want to tell people about the Substack and everything else you guys do, pods and everything like that.
We got a lot of podcast content coming to you here in the next 48 hours, so keep an eye on that. That's as much as I'm going to say. But we've got a lot really cool stuff planned that we haven't even announced it at KC Sports Network. There's still stuff in the hopper that y'all haven't seen, like a KU show that you just kind of teased, right? So we've got a lot going on. KCSN.substack.com, a great place to find a lot of that. KCSportsNetwork.com as well. And yes, there is merchandise available too as well.
Also, Kent has tweeted out a selfie that you can now see. I've retweeted it. It's there. The whole thing is there. You don't want to break any news on this show again? Like something very, very, very minor, like there are shirts for sale? Because I feel like if we make that a recurring bit, I think that could be good for everybody.
Yeah, it was really comforting when my kid came to kindergarten to find that Tucker Franklin and Jordan Foote were in his class. So that's the breaking news I got for you.
I don't have any idea what that means, and I think that's probably how you meant it. So I guess, is that going to make sense tomorrow? Or are you just saying that they're children?
I'm saying Tucker Franklin and Jordan Foote are in my kid's kindergarten class.
Because they are kindergartners.
Because they're little baby boys.
My dad's jokes are funnier, so the divergence there is really striking, even though they have the same phone call strategy now. All right, thank you, Kent. You can go back to letting your headphones dangle again.
Weirdly sounded better.
So gross. So unpleasant. Beards, feel free to mark that and play that back next time Kent's on, just so you can hear that. Honestly, this is a bit of a production ask of you, Beards, but if you want to just go to some of the earlier clips in this segment and then just no actual words, just all of the breathing noises, if you want to just splice that together for the next time Kent is on, I would really appreciate it.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
That was a upsetting sound that I had to make with my mouth.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Rudy was just showing me during the break a enormous. Do you have the dimensions on it there, Rudy?
This actually does not have the dimensions.
It is a enormous Piplup plushie. It's the little penguin Pokemon. I would say that the head of it is like significantly larger than a human head, and like 2 or 3 times as big, but the body is still relatively small. I think the head is bigger than the rest of its body, probably.
Okay, I found a website with talking about it. It is a nearly 3 foot tall Piplup plush.
And I'm guessing that its head is about 2 feet wide. Like it is about as wide as it is tall.
It's a big ol' head.
And I really, if he would have said and it's $80, I think you might have all heard me make the dumbest purchase of my life on the radio. Yeah. Thankfully, it's $384.
Yeah, so it's only available in Japan, and its retails $350. Where I found it is a site where you can buy stuff from Japan, right?
Yeah.
It's called, if you're curious, people out there, it's called Mecca Japan, MECCHA. So if you just want products from Japan, they just buy from them, they ship to you. So there's obviously a markup because they're
got to go through
reselling.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah.
I really don't know what the cutoff price would have been for me to pull the trigger on it.
To buy a big old Piplup?
Because the pro argument is I could just sit it. I've got a 2-desk setup at home, basically. I've got kind of my main desk and then a secondary one it's like an L-shaped desk that I sit off to the side. So I just sort of have extra desk space. I can kind of sprawl out if I need to. And mostly it ends up the other desk just kind of has garbage on it and then a TV. But if I could just have a Piplup sitting on the desk in the corner of my room and just look over there anytime I just need a little pick-me-up, a little pick-me Piplup, that there is a price that is worth.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is.
What
It's
about,
definitely I would spend $25 on it in a heartbeat, and $384 I am not. But I don't know where it is in between there.
So this is a plush wrist rest Piplup. So I guess you kind
Like
of have
you
it
put
on
like
your
your mouse
desk.
pad or
Yeah.
something.
And it's just a little Piplup laying down that you can put your arm on.
And that one's like $30. Now we're getting really,
$30.
we're right in that range again. It's not quite
Not
as dramatic.
A giant Piplup, but
It's also pretty practical.
yeah.
I don't know that I could be constantly squishing a Piplup. I think that might be bad for my mental health, as opposed to improving it. I'm always just squishing the life out of.
Even cheaper.
best
Now these
Pokemon.
are pretty small because they're like puppet. It's called it's a finger
Is
puppet.
it a Pipluppet?
It's a Piplup finger puppet.
That photo of it being used as a finger puppet is jarring. Can you show Beards so Beards can see it there? Can you see it on the camera if you want? I just want Beards to see it basically.
Let's see if I can.
Just roll over and show it to Beards. If you Google Piplup
Okay.
finger puppet, I'm sure you'll find it. But just show it to Beards so you can see. It's startling.
It's a Piplup finger puppet.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Pretty
is.
good.
I mean, all finger puppets have
Pretty good.
their issues.
Yeah.
Does that one have the feet also like on? I think the
Yeah.
thing with the Piplup is that sometimes a finger puppet will just be like it'll be like cut off at the neck or whatever. It'll be
No,
partway through the torso.
It's the whole body.
But I think
Setting down.
by having the feet there also,
Yep.
there's only one way that logistically is working.
Oh, Josh. Don't. Why you gotta ruin Piplup like that?
No, I love Piplup. That's why I can't buy this.
Perfectly innocent toy.
It's just not photographed very well right there, I
Well,
would say. I would buy that and just sit it on my
Pokemon
desk.
products don't always have to take the best photographs. Remember the man laying down with his head in a Gengar's mouth?
That was an awesome photo. Yeah, that was perfect branding.
I forgot about that.
Is that back in stock yet?
Well, let's see. Gengar.
I'm Googling
Just
Gengar
typing in
pillow
Gengar.
blanket. Hold on now.
Oh.
Now, hold on. I'm guessing this is probably a knockoff of some sort,
Well, let me see.
but there is one on eBay for $38.59. Now, there's a photo of the actual product. It definitely is a Wish sort of version of it.
Yeah.
Have you found it, Rudy?
No, I'm on the same website.
This
I'm on.
Gengar is in pain.
Oh my goodness.
This Gengar was bred
Yeah.
illegally in the
Yeah.
Pokemon universe.
Yeah, that's the actual one is out of stock on this website.
It is definitely not as fully stuffed, and it is definitely sadder.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But I still am very tempted by it.
I don't like that.
But boy, it's really close to that cutoff line of being worth it, even being a worse version of the product. There's a handful of what appear to be knockoff versions. Of
Oh wait, take it back. It is in stock. Whew. It is an expensive. It is $543. And then
That is
there on the
insanity.
website, just a man with his head in a Gengar.
I just don't know. I come across this every once in a while, and I'm sure that there's other sort of signposts for this, but I just don't know how much money you have to spend like $600 on basically a Gengar plushie /
man.
blanket.
That's a good question because I don't know. Like,
Because if you're Jeff
it's an amount of
Bezos, who cares?
Of course, but even because it's an amount of money that I've never even considered ever actually having. Because I can't think of it.
Because it's not like $100.
Yeah.
It's like $500.
Yeah.
Anywho, I love Drew Brees. I do want to play a couple clips of Chiefs audio because presumably maybe you came to this hour knowing Kent was kicking it off and hoping for some Chiefs, some nonsense, a little hybrid blend, a little creamer in with the coffee.
We talk Chiefs on this show?
Occasionally. I don't know if you guys could probably, you two definitely can tell. I'm guessing.
What?
Just Rudy's just really caught me off guard. It was so quick. It just. I'm guessing most people listening can probably tell, and this has come up in various forums, talking to also especially like the Matt Derricks of the world who've been at training camp every day. I got camp fatigue. We did a ton of camp audio, a ton of camp takeaways through the first couple weeks of camp, and then obviously the days that I was up there, that whole next show was basically camp stuff.
Yeah.
But we're at a point right now where today Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Tyrann Mathieu all talked, and I think there's one clip you need to hear, which we'll play here in a second, and then there's one clip that I think is kind of interesting. I think both of these have been, one of them I sort of Frankenstein. I think the Mahomes one, the illustrious aforementioned Curtis Seabolt Frankensteins together. And there's some other stuff that's like fine, but we are so close to a football game, and even just a quarter of the starters would feel like a gulp of cold water, which training camp was for the first week or so.
Yeah.
But at this point, man, it's just, I just can't say that Trey Smith, Chris Jones, and Creed Humphrey all look like gods in St. Joe anymore. It's true. I've just said it so many times that it's just, it turns to, those words turn to ash coming out of my mouth because it's just, we've covered that. But there was, I think the most interesting thing from Andy Reid today is a bit of a logistical thing, and I'm not even sure, honestly, that what we'll hear here is going to be the unsolicited, unfiltered truth from Andy Reid. But I think it's a good place to start. It's a couple clips here of Andy Reid discussing the Chiefs' preseason plan with that first game coming up here on Saturday.
As far as this game goes, we'll give the ones a quarter, twos a quarter, the second quarter, threes, third quarter, fours the fourth quarter.
I mean, we talked about this a little bit the other day, but I'm wondering how you came to the conclusion of how to approach these three games now that there's three instead of four.
Yeah, I basically do it the same way we did our first three before. And they've got 2 weeks where we're practicing, so got to get them some work in.
Is that more difficult then? Because that's the support for the French guys, maybe the depth and the backups because they don't have that fourth game.
Yeah, so this game will be important for them, getting some work. Next game, it'll decrease as it goes, but it's important that they get in and show. Then practice will be important. Remember, we make cuts after every game, Tuesday after every game.
So the thing that I think is interesting, saying, a quarter for each sort of unit. If memory serves, Andy Reid has said that before, and sometimes it'll end up being if it's one great long drive from the offense, maybe Chad Henne starts the drive that's going to spill into the second quarter. If the Niners get the ball first, they have the ball for 9 minutes, then maybe the offense comes out for a second drive in the second quarter. But I think he'll probably be relatively flexible there. I think one thing that is interesting across the league, and this started 2 years ago, I think for the most part, is more and more teams saying, yeah, we're just not going to play our starters because these games hurt and you can suffer serious injuries in them. I think Justin Herbert is not going to play at all this preseason, which is sort of interesting. Just being a second-year starter, do those reps matter? So that I think is kind of interesting. But then you heard Andy Reid say this is the more interesting part to me even. There are 3 games this year, right? 3 preseason games and 17 regular season games, so still 20, but obviously it used to be 4 and 16. What I sort of expected was for Andy Reid, who is always going to play his guys. You're not going to see Patrick Mahomes miss an entire preseason while Andy Reid is here. I think it could be Andy Reid could be here for 10 more years. And I think Patrick Mahomes is going to get some work because someone on the offense is new. And you heard Andy Reid there at the end say, you got to get that work in. And Andy Reid is about getting that work in. It is a very intense training camp, a high-paced training camp. Going to try to get some of that in the preseason so you're ready week 1. And I get it. What I think is sort of interesting is that third preseason game is usually whenever you let the starters at least come out at halftime. And conversely, this year, that third game is your last one. The fourth game is usually when you might not see any starters and you kind of just wait for it to all run out. But there is still a lot of time. They play the Vikings in their third game on the 27th of August. First regular season game is on September, where are we at? 12th.
Yes. That
is a long layoff. So if you play those guys in the third preseason game, at least for a little bit, serious injuries are still serious injuries. That's a risk you take by playing these guys at all. I would lean that direction, but Andy Reid's not going to. So it is what it is, I guess. But if they are playing in that third preseason game, they would still have plenty of time to rest back up. And if they don't play in that third preseason game, that is a lot of downtime between the second preseason game and regular season week 1. So that's what I think is interesting there about Andy Reid and his strategy to this point.
Yeah, I think it's we may see more and more teams kind of, and part of this, well, I guess we'll just depend on how, like Herbert and this look, just of playing the whole, hey, we don't want our starters really to play unless they are rookies because this is their first time, so we just don't want to take those risks. That's you're right. It's never going to be Andy Reid's style because it's the reason why they still go to St. Joe every year, right? Like most teams are now practicing at home, but Andy Reid likes going to St. Joe because Andy Reid, like, he's a very innovative person, like play calling wise, right? But like, he's got a bit of that. There's quite a bit of old school football guy in Andy Reid, right?
He's an old school football coach who is a forward thinking offensive mind.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And also, I don't think there's anything. I think getting it will be interesting to see with the Chargers. I think getting some reps, like your ones together before the first game, like in an actual game,
especially offensive line. I would not
seems important.
You know what I would not hate? I would not hate if the entire offensive line also blocked for Chad Henne a little bit.
Yeah.
If you saw that little crossover, would not mind it.
Yeah. Especially this year, considering they have 3 rookies starting.
Yeah, again, especially if Mike Rimmers can't.
Well, and not even just 3 rookies starting, or potentially 3 rookies starting, but it's also just the fact that the whole left side of the line is all new guys as well. Like, this is an offensive line that's all new guys.
Here's the other clip I want you to hear. Patrick Mahomes about that offensive line, specifically his relationship with Orlando Brown.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is trying to find which each guy is comfortable with. Definitely with that left tackle position, a lot of times you're on an island out there. You're going up against usually the defense's best pass rusher. And for him, he's trying different stuff, seeing how I like it. We communicate. You can see us communicating on the sideline. And we try to find that right spot so that when we go into the season, we're ready to roll.
Conversations that you mentioned with Orlando, I wonder if you could go a little bit more in depth with that, because obviously a much different quarterback than the one he was blocking for last year. Can you give us an example of maybe like a player or conversation you might have had about that?
Yeah, without trying to give away too many secrets, it's just different type of sets, different type of ways he's trying to wash guys down or around the edge or whatever it is. And he just tries to see where I'm comfortable at. I mean, he's played with great quarterbacks, with Lamar and Baker. I mean, he's played with great quarterbacks in his lifetime, and we're all a little bit different. He's trying to get a good feel. If he'll try something one day, and he'll ask you how I liked it, and I'll tell him the truth, and he wants to hear that so that he can know how I'm feeling throughout the game.
I think that is something that has been something at least I have not thought about as much. We've talked about Orlando Brown and a new scheme, a new style, and all of that. But the specific relationship between a left tackle and a quarterback, and again, trying to move guys around the edge versus washing them down inside and all of that, again, we've talked about some strategically, but not necessarily as a relationship between the quarterback and the left tackle. That's something we could be looking for whenever they take the field on Saturday.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Center.
Hello there. I'm Mark Robbins. Boy, the balls are flying into the Iowa cornfields tonight at the Field of Dreams game between the Yankees and the Chicago White Sox. The clubs have combined to hit 5 homers, 3 of them by this side.
And Zavala on the first pitch. Fly ball to right. Going back is Judge. Warning track. Gone. Home run. Opposite field again for the White Sox. The 4th for Sebi Zavala. And it's 7-3 White Sox.
Well, that call on ESPN Radio, it's now 7-4 Chicago going into the bottom of the 7th. Looks like a fun night. The sold-out crowd of more than 8,000. And you can catch the final innings on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. And elsewhere, the Mets get a double-header sweep of the Nationals at home. Phillies beat the Dodgers 2-1. And in the American League, Tampa Bay went looking for a post-game meal near Fenway Park.
For Mike Zunino on the pitch. Long drive to deep left field, way up into the lights, and it's a 3-run home run to maybe seal this one. It went up over the monster and headed for the Caskin flagon.
I think WDAE in Tampa is placing an order as the Tampa Bay Rays beat the Red Sox 8-1. NFL preseason action. Mac Jones playing a couple quarters for the Patriots, who now are in the 4th and lead Washington 15-7. 4th quarter, Pittsburgh in the second half rallying to lead at Philadelphia 24-16. Joe Flacco for the Eagles with a first half touchdown pass. He's making a bid to be their starting quarterback.
We're back on Friday and getting you ready for a full week of preseason action. We'll tell you the biggest things we're watching on your team this weekend. Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Zubin, Friday morning on ESPN Radio.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
All right, so we thought we would have real baseball at this point, and we don't yet.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We've talked a shocking amount of baseball on tonight's show. Also, we can do that because the Royals are off today, which also gives us a chance to talk to Max Rieper of Royals Reviews, the editor-in-chief over there. You can follow him on Twitter at Max Rieper, Royals Reviews at Royals Review, plus, of course, RoyalsReview.com. And obviously, Max, I mean, you've probably intuited this already, but we haven't been talking about the Royals tonight. We've been talking about baseball and really baseball movies, and then also baseball being played in a cornfield, which at this point, I don't know that every single game needs to be played in a cornfield, but I could definitely deal with, like, I don't know, 20 or 30 games a year just played in random sort of farm baseball fields.
Yeah, I mean, we got plenty of wheat fields out here in Kansas, too. I mean, how about plowing some of those up and building them, and maybe people will come out to see baseball out there.
I saw somebody tweeted out the idea of playing a game just, you know, in those fields outside of the Negro Leagues Museum, which is actually, like, I was about to make a dumb joke suggestion, but that is a really, I think, would be an awesome idea. And isn't it the newly added to the Royals farm system Quad City River Bandits that has the Ferris wheel, like, out by the outfield? That seems like a good idea also.
Yeah, what the big takeaway I'm getting from this is that these kind of unusual site games generate a ton of buzz. I mean, a lot of people are talking about a White Sox-Yankees game that ordinarily would probably not be on anyone's radar, but I think everyone in the sports world, since frankly there's not a lot going on right now because, you know, we haven't begun NFL preseason, the Olympics just ended, baseball kind of has a vacuum here, and they're taking advantage of it. And I think mostly I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about this game, and it seems like people are at least intrigued or like they want to tune in for the novelty of seeing this baseball game in the middle of a cornfield. My wife was kind of passing by. She's like, are they playing on a farm or what's going on here? And well, so it's kind of cool that I think you're at least getting some casual people to tune in maybe. You know, you're energizing, I think, people that are of age that remember Field of Dreams or fans, maybe even younger people that are fans of Field of Dreams. And, you know, I think the more eyeballs, the more buzz you can get for the game, I think that's great. And I think MLB should explore looking at some alternate site games. You know, the Royals and Tigers played a couple years ago in Omaha with the draft. I think that was a really good idea.
They played that game in Fort Bragg a couple years ago, which is kind of a neat idea. And, and hockey's done this as well, playing those outdoor games and locations. So I think baseball should be really creative and explore. And I think the Negro Leagues playing a game out there would be outstanding, especially considering, I think, a concerted effort on their part to kind of redress some of the slights they've made towards Negro League players in the past. So I think tying that in and trying to promote the game, especially when they're trying to kind of reach out more to African American fans as well, I think that'd be a great idea, and hopefully maybe the ball can get rolling on that as well.
Yeah, I think it's fun, especially, we saw the Chiefs. They were going to have the game in Mexico and then ended up going back the next year because of field conditions and all of that. The NFL is obviously playing games overseas. A lot of that is sort of like trying to get to new markets and everything, but they're doing it, and you mentioned NHL also, is like the NFL is doing it for that reason. Baseball has so many games that it wouldn't be that difficult, I don't think, for every team to, give up one home game a year and still have 80 in their back pocket to go play somewhere else. And I mean, you say casual fans, but I'll admit this. If this game, which is on the TV in front of me here, if this game was not being played in a cornfield outside of the Field of Dreams area, I would have been watching Patriots versus Washington football team to see what Mac Jones did in the preseason game. Like, that would have been what was on the TV. It would not have been, even if White Sox-Yankees was just on Fox and it was being played in Yankee Stadium, I would be watching preseason football, and instead we get this, and it's kind of fun. And they've hit some dingers into the cornfield, like that for at least one game here. That novelty is working for me.
Yeah, and you're right. I think you're right because of the inventory, because there are so many games. Yeah. I think you can be really creative and think outside the box for some of these matchups, because there's so many Royals Twins games throughout the year. We could throw a couple of them at another site. And I've long thought the Royals should maybe look at playing games throughout the Midwest a little bit more, throw Omaha some games every once in a while, maybe even put a couple games down Northwest Arkansas. I know Wichita is not an affiliate right now, but, they may be worth exploring, playing a game there just to, if anything more, just to re-energize the fan base in those places, make sure that they're Royals territory. And remember, way back in the day, Major League teams used to play an exhibition game in their AA and AAA affiliates, just to kind of as a thank you to their affiliate and to get those fans excited. The union kind of stopped that practice. So, there probably would be some pushback about traveling. And I know some of these minor league stadiums, the players don't want to play in. But I think it's something worth exploring, because I think it's worth kind of expanding your footprint, making sure that you're getting these fans in these areas throughout the Midwest, because, the Royals, we're not New York. We don't have a ton of people in Kansas City. So we really have to rely on a large fan base throughout the Midwest. And I think it makes a lot of sense to try to bring games to the people and try to get them excited that way.
I love the idea. I was born in Wichita, and my family lived there until I was like 10 or whatever. And I grew up as a Yankees fan in Wichita. And do you know how different that would have been if there was one game every summer that the Royals came around? The Royals would have just gone on you have to phrase it differently, but to do something like the Chiefs Kingdom kind of thing of like, hey, we're gonna reach out to all these other areas. If the Royals came and played a in-season, actual regular season baseball game in Wichita once or twice, maybe it's a 2-game series, my whole family absolutely would have been there, and that would have totally rejuvenated an area that had very little Royals love, in my experience at least, because they were terrible at that time, and it was just far enough away that a regular road trip to Kansas City wasn't super appealing. I love the idea of going to the minor league affiliates and going to some other places in the area, because again, the issue with NFL games, fans get really defensive about losing home games, because maybe you're paying more for your ticket package. If you lose a home game in London that you obviously don't use your season tickets for, that ends up being a bit of a brouhaha. No one's going to do that for a few lost games in a Major League Baseball regular season. So I love the idea of at least just traveling around Kansas and Missouri a little bit and kind of reclaiming that territory. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and just think about, some of these games, like I said, the Royals Twins Wednesday afternoon game in July,
yep.
Some of those games draw 8,000-9,000 people, and there's, not a lot of buzz. And now maybe you have the exact same attendance in a minor league stadium because it's a smaller stadium, but there's going to be a lot of people just excited, super excited. You probably sell them at a higher markup because, the demand's going to be there. And there's going to be more of a buzz because people are excited to having real major leaguers there. I mean, think about Whit Merrifield and Salvador Perez like interacting with fans in Wichita and Omaha. I think it's going to be kind of a neat idea. Yeah, and I think, the more baseball explores some of these opportunities, it doesn't have to be necessarily minor league parks. I think, like I said, the Fort Bragg idea was kind of cool. The London thing was kind of weird because the stadium wasn't really, it was just a weird looking stadium, and like a million home runs were hit in Wembley Stadium. So I don't know if that was such a success, but, you can look for different creative ideas to kind of, and, having kind of weird ballparks, maybe that's part of the novelty too. Yeah. I mean, ball's been flying in Iowa too. It's not like it's been a pitcher's duel there either. So, but, and then there can certainly be too much of this, and you don't want to interfere with the integrity of the season as it is. But, once in a while, because there are so many games, I think it's definitely worth exploring.
Yeah, you can stand out some of the – you might not want to be the starting pitcher, I guess, if you're, going to a Little League stadium for a start. That might be a Players Association issue, but, yeah, I like that. Well, we can talk about the actual team that does play games here in Kansas City now, if we must. And I say that came off dismissive. I didn't really mean for it to, because there's actually been some interesting things, specifically with the young pitchers. We were talking to Lesky about this last night, and I just sort of admitted that I think, honestly, a couple of those losing streaks took some of the air out of my lungs in terms of being excited to watch the Royals. But that's not necessarily a fair reflection of where they're at right now, especially whenever you have Daniel Lynch, Chris Bubich, Brady Singer, and a handful of other guys going out there every few nights. I mean, you have your Mike Minor start, but other than that, like, pretty much the entire rotation is genuinely interesting in a way that it wasn't at the start of the season. Carlos Hernandez also, I'm going to ask you about specifically in a second, because Lesky said something crazy about him yesterday. But as a staff as a whole, it actually has been a pretty interesting stretch, right?
Well, yeah, and this is what we've been waiting for since 2018, right? Like, we've been told, okay, we have this great, arsenal of pitchers that we've drafted, but it's going to take some time for them to get to the big leagues. And now they're here, and yeah, since the All-Star break, really, this has been a much better rotation. I think the team has a ERA under 4 since the All-Star game. And ever since they traded Danny Duffy, now it's a much younger rotation as well. So you're right. Like, I think this is a much more interesting pitching staff. And even if they weren't really as successful as they've been, I think, at least you get to see what some of these young guys could do. Even when the pitchers struggle, like Brady Singer, he didn't pitch great this week. But I think we learned a little bit about him. I think, we can see his development. And at least it gives us some hope for the future. Or maybe you're discouraged from what you saw. I don't know. But it's better than seeing, like, Matt Harvey out there,
yes,
going 5 innings and giving up 6 runs. Or it doesn't even matter what he does, because he's not going to be there by the end of the year. So, this is what we've been waiting for. And this is really just a start. So, we're going to be seeing these guys for the next couple of years. But, this certainly makes it much more exciting. And this is really what we want to see out of the lineup, too. We want to see these young guys. And then we're going to have to wait a little bit longer to see the Nick Prados and MJ Melendez's and Bobby Witts, but that's coming too, and that's what's going to give fans, I think, real hope that, okay, we've got a chance here in the future, and we don't have to see these kind of old guys at the end of their careers anymore.
I'm gonna immediately ask you this question and then try to stall to give you some time to pull everything together. I jumped this on Lesky as well, but if you had to go through the young pitchers that have made starts for the Major League Royals, so you're not talking Asa Lacy, but you do include Jackson Kowar, right? If you had to rank how you feel about these guys, and you say, well, look back in 5 years, and this is how I feel about where these guys are going to be 5 years from now, with Lynch and with Kowar and Bubich and Singer and even Brad Keller, who's not quite in that same group, but close enough, and Carlos Hernandez. Do you know how you would rank those guys right now? And also, would you rather go from top to bottom or bottom to top? I think the latter is more dramatic, but the former is probably easier.
Well, I guess the guy I'm lowest on would probably be Brad Keller, just because, number one, he's older. And, I think he's always been a guy that I've been a little worried about, just because he doesn't miss bats. And, and I think we've talked about this a little bit. He just walks such a fine line that, he's got to be kind of perfect out there, or he's going to get hit pretty hard. And, look, he's had some encouraging starts the last month or two, but I think that's always going to be kind of an issue. And I don't know, I think last winter we probably would have said, okay, we would have written his name in ink in future Royals rotations. And I think now that is probably a little more up in the air than it was. So we'll see. He's certainly, baseball's a game of adjustments, and he can certainly adjust. But right now he's a guy that I'm probably, a little more down on, especially with his results this year. Second, I think Brady Singer. Not that I'm think he's terrible or anything, or and I know it's easy to say after kind of a disappointing start this week, but I think the lack of a third pitch is really kind of hurting him. It's certainly something he could learn and turn his career around. And look, he's 32 starts into his career, so absolutely he could be a really solid pitcher at the big league level. But the fact that he lacks that third pitch, I think that's kind of the millstone around his neck right now. And I know he worked on it, in the minor leagues and threw a bunch of changeups and seemed pretty confident in it. And then he went out this week and then didn't throw it. Little discouraging by some of the statements too about how didn't want to throw the third pitch because the other two pitches weren't working. And it's kind of like, well, if those two pitches weren't working, maybe you should have kind of relying on that third pitch a little bit more because, just to kind of figure something out because you weren't having a lot of success, especially the third time through the lineup when, guys have kind of seen your sink and your slider. So I think Singer's a guy, I think he could be a solid pitcher, but I think out of all those guys, I'd probably be a little more concerned about. Next would probably be Jackson Kowar, and that's more because he just kind of didn't pitch well at all at the big league level. But I do think a lot of that was nerves. I mean, he's
sure.
got stuff.
Sure,
right.
but that'll do it though. Yeah. All right. I'm sorry to cut you off. That just really tickled me. Yeah. I mean, it's just for Kowar, look, it's not that I think he's a bad pitcher. It's just that he was here at the major league level and was an abject disaster, and that knocked him down my list. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Pitching really poorly tends to weigh pretty heavily in my mind. I think so. But there's been encouraging reports about him adding a slider to his arsenal. I think he's a guy that could be. I don't think he's going to be a star or anything like that, but I think he could be a solid pitcher. And then Carlos Hernandez would probably be next. He's a guy that, frankly, wasn't really high on my list. He's a guy that I'd heard some things about, but I wasn't really buying in. I thought they were maybe a little too aggressive in promoting him, but it turns out they kind of knew what they were doing with him. And he's got, he's not like a two-pitch guy. He's got a deep arsenal, and he looked super impressive this week. And I know that there was some, he wasn't missing a ton of bats, and there were some hard-hit balls, but, to go 6 innings against one of the tougher lineups in the American League, at least, what they've done in the past, that's pretty impressive to me, and I think he's put himself on the map, and I think he's going to be strongly considered for the rotation next year, and he's a guy that I think maybe has a brighter future than I would have anticipated. Yeah. So who am I missing? Daniel Lynch, is that the only one?
Lynch
right?
and Bubic are the two you haven't pulled yet.
I skipped Bubic. I'd put Bubic probably a little bit, maybe a notch below Kowar, just because the changeup is really impressive, but he's another guy that kind of it lacks the third pitch. Actually, I might bump him below Singer just because I think his changeup isn't going to play as well as Singer's slider. So I'll put him a little bit lower. Nice solid maybe fifth starter guy. And then I think Daniel Lynch is a guy I've always been the highest on, just because lefties that throw high 90s and have his kind of slider, I think are going to be pretty high upside there. So Lynch is a guy I'm looking at, and of course he didn't pitch very well at all, to begin with as well. But to make those kind of adjustments and really look sharp his next couple times out, and again he looked really good against the Yankees as well. That was really encouraging to me. So he's a guy I think has the highest upside. But really, to be honest, I feel better about the Royals pitchers this year than I did last year because. Last year they were all pitching well in the minors, or I guess they had pitched well in the minors the previous year since we didn't have a minor league season. But I know the numbers. The numbers are pitching prospects. 4 out of 5 will fail.
Right.
And to see them at least get their feet wet at the major league level, and aside from Kowar, who it was like with 2 starts,
right.
They've gone out and had some success. So that's really encouraging to me. Obviously, someone's probably going to have an injury at some point, so that could cause some attrition. But the fact that so many of them have gotten to the big league level, which, number one, that's a big achievement in itself, but also had some success, I think that's really encouraging going forward. It makes me feel really good that they're going to have some pretty solid pitching depth in the next couple of years.
So to cross-reference yours with Lesky, which I was very interested to do, the only difference is if you have Singer as 4 out of 6 there, and Lesky had Singer at the bottom of the list. So if you just pulled Singer to the very bottom, Lesky, I mean, you probably know this, but Lesky's really he's had his patience tested by Brady Singer in a way that I think is borderline personal. But you had the same top 3, then it was Bubic and Keller, and he just had Singer if we get a good Brady Singer start, I may see if Leske wants to recalibrate, but that was the only difference. You guys had the same top three, and then Singer and Bubic in the same, or in Keller and Bubic in the same order there as well. That I just very, very, very close, which makes me think that maybe both of you know what you're watching, which is a real positive.
Well, Leske he's just a hot take factory. I mean, he's just trying to create controversy there. But I will say with Singer though, I share some of the frustrations I think Leske has with kind of some of the comments he's made, with some of the comments Singer's made about the lack of developing a third pitch. But he does have a really good slider, and I love guys with sinking action on their pitches. I mean, I think you can have some success as a starting pitcher if you're a sinker baller with one other good pitch. Yeah. There certainly have been some guys that have been able to succeed like that. That being said, man, you really want a third pitch the third time through the lineup. Now, the way baseball's going, maybe he's just a guy that doesn't go the third time through the lineup right now. That's kind of the way a lot of guys are going right now. So I don't think it's necessarily, it's not like a death knell to his career if he can't ever throw a changeup very well. But certainly it's something you'd like to see. And I understand why Leske is super frustrated with Singer's inability to do that.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing that Leske said about Carlos Hernandez is also the crazy thing that you did, which is put him second on that list. And I don't think it's actually crazy. It's just that I'm almost embarrassed at this point to admit, like, whenever he was first making his debut, I vaguely remember his first start. And then after that, I just ended up kind of lumping him into the group of guys that were, like, young, but not the high ceiling or whatever that you expect from Daniel Lynch, or even, frankly, like the Chris Bubic sort of, hype train, because he's spent some time at the major league level and is young and was, a draft pick that you think of and all that. Anyway, I had sort of just not spent a whole lot of time thinking about Hernandez, and I mean, clearly he deserves to be discussed with this group. What is it that you've seen from him that has made you so excited about what he could potentially be?
Just that, the number one, he throws 4 pitches, and he throws them really well. I mean, he's got a fastball, curveball, slider, and change that he can throw for strikes. And he just, the Yankee start, he just looked super poised out there. I was just really impressed that he was able to go toe-to-toe with guys like Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge and just not seem intimidated. And we forget how young he is. I mean, he's a young guy that skipped a lot of levels of Major League Baseball, and he didn't seem to be that phased. So I think he was under the radar for a lot of us because he didn't make prospect lists really, because he wasn't a draftee. Obviously, he signed out of Venezuela. And he kind of rose really quickly. I mean, he made the jump from A-ball and didn't really have time to make press prospect lists. And so I think a lot of the casual fans, and myself included, just wasn't really up on what he was doing, because we're not scouts, we're not watching him at the minor league level. And number one, I think that should kind of serve as a signal to some of us fans, like, hey, prospect lists are great. They're not the end-all, be-all. Sometimes there are guys like Salvador Perez, he never made a prospect list because he popped out into the minor leagues and was so great so quickly that he just kind of skyrocketed through the system. And that's kind of what Carlos Hernandez has done. And it's great. And as a team, I think you kind of need guys like that to kind of develop out of almost seemingly out of nowhere. Of course, there's a lot of work that went into it and development, but you need a couple of surprises really out of your farm system that come out and don't even have to be all-stars, but just solid contributors. I mean, I think Nicky Lopez, kind of another guy like that. Hopefully he can continue that for the next couple of years. But he's another guy that wasn't like a prospect or anything, but he's turned into a very solid player, if not one of the most valuable players on the team this year. So, Carlos Hernandez doesn't have to be great. He's got a lot of good pitching depth around him, but he just adds another piece to the puzzle, I think, that can make you feel really confident that this team is going to have the pitching depth going forward, even if a couple of guys do maybe fall to the wayside.
I feel like that is a excellent analysis of the pitching staff, and we have a little bit of time left to talk about not the young pitchers, because they're second fiddle right now, because some of those guys, all the guys really that would be on a similar sort of prospect level are not quite here yet. And I'm interested what you are looking for with some of the guys that are going to be playing on a regular basis for the remainder of this season, or at least before the other guys get called up. But the first guy isn't currently on the roster, and I want to know if there is a genuine reason in your mind that the Royals do not seem to actually care to see much of Edward Olivares on a regular basis.
So, I mean, the legend of Edward Olivares has gotten a little overblown. I totally, I'll admit that we have, at Royals Review, have totally been a major part of that. But I think a lot of it's just the fans want to see what he can do. Like, right? We're tired of seeing Jorge Soler. We're tired of. I think a lot of fans are tired of seeing Hunter Dozier. I think Hunter.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Hunter Dozier's going to be here for a little bit, right? I mean,
right, exactly. That's kind of my point. It's like we kind of have to see what Hunter Dozier can do, and he kind of has to snap out of it because guess what? He's going to be here for the next couple of years. I mean, no matter what.
Yeah.
But Oliver is, look, he's a guy that probably doesn't have the power to play a corner outfield position and probably doesn't have the defense to play center field. And I think that's part of what the Royals are kind of looking at and saying, well, is this guy really worth investing a lot of playing time if he's not going to be a starter? But you never know unless you actually give these guys playing time, and they're in a position right now where they're far back in the standings and they can afford to give a guy like that a lot of playing time. And I get that he has options, and so that, they feel like they have to, as far as inventory, they can ship him to the minor leagues and then still keep their guys intact. But, of course, Ryan O'Hearn also has options. Look, I was a Ryan O'Hearn fan at one point. That was a couple years ago when he was a young man. He's like 28 years old now. He doesn't play particularly good defense. He's gotten better, but he's not a guy that's really going to help you out there much. And he's had 800 plate appearances. He's been a very well below average hitter. So I don't know what's worth, investing any time in him anymore. Let's see what Oliveros can do. I don't think there's really much more to it than that. Maybe it's just like they want to get one last look at O'Hearn before they kind of cut ties with him, perhaps. But I would like to see Oliveros in the starting lineup, the rest of the year, and that's kind of frustrating he's not.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like your point of, hey guys, I don't really think he's going to be Barry Bonds is fair. Like that, I think that is a good piece of perspective. But I also, and again, you said he might not be able to even play center field on a regular basis. Does he have the power for corner? I don't know, but like I just don't need to see personally. I'm not excited to see more of either Ryan O'Hearn or Michael A. Taylor. If they would have moved Michael A. Taylor and then just tried anything at center field for the remainder of the season, that would have been more interesting just because we're talking about guys who are known quantities and aren't going to be long-term pieces. Like, think about the advantage the Royals ended up getting whenever they were forced to play Nicky Lopez, whenever Adalberto Mondesi got hurt at the beginning of the year. Like, I don't know if they had their minds made up about Nicky Lopez. I don't know if he was going to play. I mean, he was going to start the season in Omaha, right? Like, I would just like to see somebody get a bunch of plate appearances and see if they can give me anything, like that. It's more interesting than the status quo, at least. And I don't know that that's a great way to manage a baseball team, but it is how I watch a baseball team.
No, I think Nicky Lopez is a great example of giving a guy a chance. I mean, Whit Merrifield, when you remember him, he had to kind of, he had to really kick down the door to get his opportunity. And, of course, he ended up becoming a two-time All-Star. And, we talked about Carlos Hernandez and Salvador Perez kind of skipping levels and becoming, having an irregular path to the majors. Edward Olivares kind of did that, too, at the Padres. And he skipped some levels and didn't have, he got hurt a lot in the minors. So he hasn't necessarily had the usual development curve that you would see out of a prospect. And so, I look at him and see a tweener, fourth outfielder. But because he's developed so oddly and had so many fits and starts to his career, perhaps this is the point where he's really figured things out and becomes that, solid corner outfielder who actually does hit for some power and has, brings a good power speed combo to right field. So, let's see what he can do. Give him that shot. Look, you look at the Royals lineup, they're trotting out there every day. It's like you see there's opportunities to get him a guy like that playing time. It's not like they're fielding, 9 All-Stars out there. So give him an opportunity and see what he can do.
Is there anybody else that's currently up that's not one of the highly touted young guys that we might see eventually that is intriguing you at this point? Is Emmanuel Rivera is intriguing? I mean, because everybody else, it just sort of feels like we've seen a good sample size of right now.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not super high on Emmanuel Rivera. I think he's kind of what we were told Kelvin Gutierrez was like. But actually doing it, like he's actually, we were told Gutierrez was a really good defender, and he didn't really look that great out there. Rivera has actually looked really solid at third. Like he's made some really head-turning plays at third base. I don't know if his bat's going to be enough to really play third base long term. I think he's a nice stopgap, maybe a guy that's there for depth. And look, we all know he's probably a placeholder for either Bobby Witt Jr. or Hunter Dozier to return to third base on a full-time basis. The Royals are going to have to figure out what they want to do there. So I don't know if he's really necessarily the answer. As far as guys, the minors. I mean, the guys I really want to see come up at this point are the relievers. I want to see more young guys in the bullpen. Kind of tired of. I love Wade Davis. I love Greg Holland. Even love Earl Santana, but they're all over 35 years old. They haven't pitched particularly well this year. I think it's time to kind of see what some of these young arms to do. I mean, there's a kid in Omaha. He's from Kansas City, Grant Gavin, who he doesn't like light it up or anything, but he just gets results at every level in the minors. And it's like you got to start rewarding those kind of guys who just put up production. And maybe he falls flat in his face in the big leagues, but at least give him that opportunity to do so. I think that sends a message to your organization when you promote guys like that. Whereas if you continually demote guys like Edward Olivares who have done nothing but hit at AAA, I think that also sends a message like, okay, it doesn't matter what you hit. The numbers are what the numbers are. We got to play our guys. And I think that's a negative message. So, I'd like to see them starting to promote from within. Dayton Moore in this press conference a couple of weeks ago was just talking, how much he loved his 180, he called them, the 180 players they have in the minors, and, how much he trusted them. He didn't want to didn't want to acquire any more players if it was going to block one of those guys. Okay, let's see what some of those guys can do. I mean, right, we've signed a bunch of draftees now. We can start making some promotions, and they have started to make some promotions in the other levels of the minors. But, we can start to, give our retirement tour for Wade Davis and Greg Holland and start getting some of these younger arms up here. I've always been a fan of Tyler Zuber. I know he hasn't pitched particularly well in the big leagues, but again, let's give him an extended look, and then at least you can cut ties with him and know you gave him a shot, and he just didn't work out. But again, I just want to see this team get younger because they've got a lot of the established guys are up there. They're over 30. And you just want to see some of the younger guys get a chance and at least supplement that roster a little bit more.
I think that is an excellent point. If you are valuing these 180s so much, there's no way that the Royals would have acquired Greg Holland or Wade Davis at the deadline. And if you would not do the inverse, maybe let them go and see if you can get some of those young arms in the pen. I think, I would be thrilled to see that. And also, if I held my breath for a bunch of those young guys to get called up, I would have perished very, very, very long ago. So I will let it play out as it does. And whenever that happens, Max, I hope to get to talk to you about Bobby Witt Jr. playing a Major League Baseball game before too terribly long. But if it doesn't happen soon, we can talk about how we wish we could talk about that again soon.
Hey, we can always subscribe to minorleaguebaseball.com and stream games, and we'll just have to watch Bobby Witt smack home runs in Omaha for the rest of the season.
It would not be harder than it is for me to actually watch the Major League Royals anywhere. So that's honestly a change I probably should have made a while ago. Thank you, Max.
Thank you. Max
Rieper of Royals Review. Follow him on Twitter at Max Rieper, and then you can, of course, follow at Royals Review and go to royalsreview.com for just great content all across the board. They just do a fabulous job making sure you know things about the games that are happening, the games that just happened, whatever else is going on in the world of the Royals. And I think it's an excellent point about Dayton Moore's again valuing of the minor league system. You got to give those guys a shot if they are proving to you that they deserve one, and to not be able to get that shot on a team that is fully out of it, that is giving innings to Greg Holland and Wade Davis. I think it's a great point.
I also just hate the thought process of we don't need any more talent. I like our guys. We're good enough.
That's miserable. I think I may have fully fed this horse over the course of several shows.
That makes me sad.
But the idea of minor league players it's one of, honestly, this is, I tend to like Dayton Moore. He does things that frustrate me.
For sure.
I think the most ridiculous thing that I've heard him say, that I wonder if he would phrase it differently given the opportunity. I wonder if he I really don't know. And I really don't say this from any form of anything other than respect for Dayton Moore. But it is asinine to say, well, minor leaguers are minor leaguers for a reason, and then say, well, we don't want to move any of our minor leaguers because we think we got the right guys to build this team. Yep. It's just it is very unself-aware in a way that again, maybe he would phrase it differently. Maybe I heard it in a way that he wouldn't have intended it to be heard, but it just sort of it has this air of our guys are good, your guys stink. And I think that's a silly way to go through life as a sports team, whatever. They're valuable pieces in other organizations. And,
we're good enough. We don't need to get better. That's fine.
You can believe in your guys. I'm not saying
still add more guys.
Yeah. I'm not saying you have to trade MJ Melendez for a center fielder.
The draft every year you are adding new guys.
I don't know.
Adding new guys doesn't mean you don't believe in your guy. It's absurd.
Yeah, that one got under my skin a little bit.
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd.
Anyway, we'll take a break. Whenever we come back, do you guys want to do a tier list? Beards and I talked about doing this before the show. We can do not one that's 97 chips that we have to rank, but something in a more concise package.
That works for me.
I feel like we could probably do that. Let's do that whenever we come back.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
All right, well, so we've talked Chiefs for 9 hours this week. What are we going to do for this 10th hour? Porgs.
Get rid of your pennies!
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Last time we did this, we debuted two bits at once. There is the bit of, is it a bit or is it bleep? Is that what we called it?
New bit, Old Bleep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you. We played New Bit Old Bleep with a new bit on tiermaker.com, where they have a whole bunch of categories. You can rank things by tiers. Typically, S tier is the best, and then there's A, B, C, D, and F. That bit survived. Did we have music for that, Beards?
Yeah,
we
did.
Music for the tier maker list thing?
Well, we haven't picked a tier yet, so I was waiting until we had the
Cool.
tier.
I just want to make sure that was an established part of the bit.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. There are some like NFL and NBA ones that I think we could do with a longer segment, and we could really get into some of the nitty-gritty of, but also those are typically pretty large ones. So I have two right now. One is a list of fast food places, which appears to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 long.
Not terrible.
Not terrible. We could probably do it. And then there is a fruit tier list ranking that is like 20 long. And we talk about fast food on this show a lot, and I'm afraid that the fast food argument might have a little more gas in the tank than we have road to get through. I am leaning towards doing a fruit tier list because I think it will be absolutely, no pun intended, bananas to do this with Beards. How do you guys feel about a fruit tier list?
I mean, you want me to just turn my mic off and leave the room?
No, I would like...
I mean, you can just turn your mic off. That's there.
I would like to get your opinion, because if we do get a single fruit that you do like, it's going to be unstoppable as a gauntlet. Do you guys feel all right about doing the fruit tier list?
Yeah.
I feel like we can do this within the...
It's fine.
Beards, it's not my fault that you've never eaten a fruit. We just got to do one, and I think this is a fun one to do. Just please try... Beards, for your rankings, don't put it opposite candy and fast food. You got to do it as opposed to other fruits, right?
Sure.
So if there's a fruit that you would like begrudgingly eat, that's an S tier.
I'll just go by my gut.
All right, fine. Let's do it. Is this different than the last one? This has a special... This feels like it's made for ranking fruit.
Yeah.
All right, I think these are all alphabetical at first glance, which makes it a really tough start for avocado, which is technically a fruit, and I really like avocado, but it's a tough road to hoe for avocado in a fruit tier list. I don't know if I can I add another row? I'd like to add a row below for F tier, because it was not offered for me. It only went to D. And I think I screwed it up, but that's okay. How do you feel about avocado around the room real quick?
S.
Really?
I love avocado.
Love avocado.
Yeah,
Beards, I bet
I'll
you
put
love
avocados
avocado.
on everything.
Whatever.
I mean, what is that?
C tier.
Can we go A? Can we go A? I think avocado is an A tier. I think S is a little high,
fine.
but then
Beards had a C. You have an A.
I think A
have
is
an
probably
S.
about right.
Fine.
A is fine.
What about apples? I like what Rudy did last one there. I want your bam, instant reaction.
Probably B for me.
Beards.
That's fine.
Can you just say a letter?
B. Sure.
I'm lower on apples. I think apples are overrated, but I'll put it in a B tier. I think it deserves that spot. Bananas.
F tier. It's too much work.
It makes me think.
To peel a banana? It's not a crab leg.
So it's a B for me, which almost makes me want to push apple down to C, because I think a banana is clearly better than an apple.
Let's go a high.
But I'm fine
B
with high
tier.
B.
I'm okay with that. I would put it as an A tier, but this is a team effort. Beards, can we make this the last segment? I'm immediately realizing we're simply going to have to do that.
Yeah, we'll be at 56.
Blackberry. I think it's an underrated berry. I kind of like it, honestly, as a low B tier, but I also like most fruit. There's a lot of seeds. Can be kind of a tough.
I like a blackberry.
Can be kind of a tough crunch.
I think it's a low B, high C. Yeah.
Beards, letter. Blackberry. Ever had them?
D tier. Sure.
Let's go low B. I'll put it below apples for the sake of Beards' rankings. Blueberries. This is an A tier fruit at minimum. Maybe an S tier.
Yeah, you mix it with some whipped cream.
Anything. Yeah. Anything. Beards, how you feel about blueberries?
C or D, whatever.
You not like blueberries seem so hard to hate. I'm gonna go A tier with it because Beards is pulling us down, but I feel like A tier is pretty good. What about cantaloupe? I cut a cantaloupe recently. I kind of forgot about cantaloupe. Cantaloupe's pretty good.
Yeah, cantaloupe is probably like a mid B for me.
Beards, just say a letter.
C for cantaloupe.
I'm okay with putting it as a C tier with nothing else in that C tier yet.
Okay, that works.
What about cherries?
Cherry flavoring is good.
Great, but that's not it.
Fruits are just kind of okay.
Just kind of okay.
I guess it kind of depends, right? Like a cherry and a cherry Dr. Pepper from Sonic just seems to hit a little differently.
But that's even a maraschino cherry. That's not a fresh
true.
cherry, you
True.
know?
Good point.
That's in
That's
some
a good
syrup.
Point. That's a good point.
Beards.
So yeah, C.
C tier's fine.
Okay, let's go C tier. Grapes. I feel like Beards might like grapes. Is this your one fruit you like?
C tier.
I like grapes.
I think, can grapes be C tier above cantaloupe?
Yeah.
I think that's deserving. I would prefer. If I did this myself, apples might be a D tier. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm hitting apples today. All right, this is going to be where I'm going to have to fight you guys, I think. Grapefruit. Love grapefruit. I like fresh grapefruit. I like grapefruit juice. I like grapefruit flavored things.
I don't, but I know a lot of people who do, so it's like I can respect. It's like here's
It's a polarizing fruit.
Grapefruit for me, it's like Prince music, right? It wasn't for me. But I can.
Grapefruit is like Prince.
But I respect that everybody else likes it, and I can understand the greatness.
It's the Beatles for me.
Can I?
You're messing up all the colors.
I'm fixing the colors. I'm trying to fix the colors.
I won't fight grapefruit. Wherever you want grapefruit, I won't fight.
I feel like I can't put
Isn't S tier supposed to be the red one?
Most people I know really like grapefruit.
If I can get it on a B tier, I'll take it. I think that's reasonable for the group. What about a mango? I feel like a mango is a universally beloved fruit.
mangoes,
Beards,
yeah.
go ahead and disappoint me.
C tier.
Have you ever had a mango?
I don't know.
He doesn't know.
That actually feels right.
I think
Yeah.
mango could be an A tier behind a blueberry. Behind the blueberry and avocado. Avocado, we'll leave it.
I love avocados.
It's a weird thing on a fruit. I know it is a fruit.
Yeah.
But it's a weird appearance on a fruit tier list.
It's fine. It's my favorite thing. It's probably going to be my second favorite. Well, maybe favorite fruit mentioned.
I do want to get our favorites out of the list at the end if we have time. What about oranges? They're everywhere. They're versatile. Beard certainly hates them.
S tier.
Really? This is your one?
Yeah.
Wait, is this actually your one, though?
Yeah.
I'm not even saying you only get one silver bullet.
Okay, hold up. I got a question already.
Do you like orange juice? Or
You trashed bananas because they were too hard to eat.
Yeah, oranges are definitely
You realize
harder to get
the orange is way harder.
Really, I was just hating on bananas there.
That's fine.
That's fine. Is it so that you are an S tier orange placer?
Yeah.
Rudy, how do you feel about that?
I mean, for me, they're like a high B, maybe low A. It's a really good fruit, but it's not, it's no avocado.
Also the best of the juices.
I agree with that.
Off the top of my head,
Pulling
I agree
double
with
duty
that
there.
probably.
What's up? What did you say?
I said pulling double duty.
No, I heard you, but I didn't hear Josh.
I forgot. I think I agree with the juices thing. I think I agree that it's the best of the juices.
Mm-hmm. Definitely best of the juices.
I'm good with putting it as
which I think does bump it up to a easy A for me.
Yeah, I got it as an A tier, and I'm putting it ahead of the avocado because I'm just having some. I had avocado for lunch today.
Surprising. You're the hold up with the avocado.
It's a little weird in this tier list, and I also feel like I'm trying to represent Beards a little bit. I feel like a congressman right now that doesn't really want to represent all my constituents, but is trying right now, even though I disagree with him. What about peaches?
Oh, I love a good
Peaches are
man.
good.
I kind of forgot about peaches. Peaches might be an S tier.
I had a teacher in high school that called them the most sensual fruit.
S tier.
S tier. S for sensual.
Do you like peaches, Beards? The most sensual fruit?
I used to just eat them out of a can. My
canned peaches are good. Fresh peaches are good. I know we kind of didn't do that. Didn't give cherry that. I'm going to put it S tier right now because we have no S tier fruits because we have an albatross around our neck, and his name is Beards.
Love a good peach.
What about a pineapple?
S tier. Love a bleeping good pineapple.
Beards? How do you feel about a pineapple?
Love pineapple.
How do you feel about pineapple, Beards?
Peaches, avocado. Pineapple, peaches.
I mean, Beards, it's objectively simply not a C tier fruit.
You can put it higher. That's fine.
We have 2 S tier votes for pineapple,
go for it.
which I'm not sure we've had 2. I think if you get 2 votes for one like that, I think maybe you get it.
Yeah.
I think it's an S tier fruit. I actually pulled peaches down to A tier just for the time being.
What was that noise?
It's the most sensual fruit. What about pomegranate?
I don't think I've had pomegranate enough.
It makes a great juice.
Yeah.
You want to talk about difficulty? It's up there. You do not get a lot for your work.
I kind of just
Beards has never had one. There's no chance, right?
No, I don't think so.
C is kind of just my initial. just thought. But I think part of that is I couldn't tell you last time I had pomegranate. I know I've had it, but it's been a minute.
I think part of that is a vote against it. I put it in D tier because nothing else is there.
Yeah, I'm going with D tier, actually, yeah.
The juice is great, but is it worth a squeeze? What about raspberries?
Maybe C.
Here's where you at on raspberries.
C tier, fine.
They're fine.
I love raspberries, man.
I mean, how much do you love them?
Can I just at least get it? They
can be a low B.
We have blackberries on a B tier.
I'm fine with raspberry being a low B.
I prefer raspberries to blackberries.
Okay, I'm fine with raspberries being right in front of blackberries, or maybe it's even bumping blackberries down to high C.
That's what
raspberry to a low B.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
I would drink a blackberry high C also. Stupid. What about strawberries?
Oh boy,
they're a quintessential fruit.
Here's the thing, strawberry might be my favorite fruit of all time.
Beards, how do you feel about strawberries?
I love strawberries so bleeping much.
Yeah, they're C tier.
They're an S tier fruit for me.
Everything has been a C tier for you. I need you to be able to grade on a curve. I'm just saying for future what am I saying?
Good.
For future fruit things, I'm gonna need you to be able to grade on a curve.
I love strawberries so much, man.
We got 2 votes for an S tier for the strawberry.
Yes.
I have it behind the pineapple though. I think pineapple might be my favorite fruit.
I would probably put strawberries in front of, but also the pineapple is a little bit more versatility. You know why? You don't put strawberries on a pizza.
I didn't even think about that.
I mean,
that's
you can't
the
put
argument.
it on. I mean, you can put it on a dessert pizza, like if it was like a Nutella chocolate pizza with strawberry. That's obviously amazing.
Like from Salazar.
But we're talking pizza. Pineapple belongs on a pizza.
It's delicious.
So good.
You can also have, other like Hawaiian sort of food with like a cooked pineapple. The thing about pineapple, also the juice is good still, but pineapple has a little meatiness to it, just in terms of the texture, which makes it which not all fruits have.
It is the best fruit to pair with meat.
What about the last one on this list? Watermelon. Beards can surprise me either way on this one, honestly.
B tier. That's fine.
That feels about right. It's good when you have it, but it's not something you want all the time, right? It can get a little messy. It's got some seeds.
I agree with that.
But it tastes good.
There was a droid that I think attempted through the talkback button there to say 2 minutes, right? Well, yes, not your fault, Beards. It's just that it was
something didn't work.
Yeah. All right, so here's what we have right now on the current setting of the tier list. I think we have a good spread in terms of where everything is landed. We have pomegranates as a D tier. It's just tough, man. Just tough fruit.
Yeah.
C tier is in this order, left to right. Blackberries, grapes, cantaloupe, cherries. I feel all right about that. I like all those fruits.
Yeah.
A C tier fruit is probably better than a B tier vegetable.
A C tier fruit is a good solid fruit.
Then on B tier, banana, grapefruit, watermelon, apple, raspberry. Raspberry is bleeping me up a little bit, but I can deal. You guys aren't big raspberry fans. That's fine.
Hey, raspberry.
That's all right.
It's just I will say though, I did have the raspberry Dole whip.
From Hawaiian Bros.
That is good, man.
Listen, I don't know if anybody from Hawaiian Bros
I got
listens
a mix
to this show, but
of the raspberry with the pineapple.
yeah, that's the boy.
Oh, boy.
A tier left to right. Peaches, oranges, avocado, blueberries, mangoes. Clearly, avocado stands out just as when you think about eating it.
Because it's an S tier and it's on the A.
But I think that's a pretty good tier. I have no gripes with any of those. An S tier, pineapple, strawberry.
I love pineapple so much too. Pineapples, peaches, avocado, strawberries.
I think we just successfully
That's
ranked some
probably
fruit.
like my big four.
What? Say them again.
Avocado, pineapple, peaches, strawberry. And then orange juice. I don't necessarily like to eat oranges, but I like to drink orange juice.
I think I might go pineapple, strawberry, blueberry, grapefruit. Maybe that leaves bananas out, and I do like bananas. I'm a banana boy.
Bananas are very good.
Beards' favorite fruit is fruit snacks.
Chicken.
His favorite fruit is chicken. Hey, no show tomorrow. We got some cool stuff up for the weekend. We'll talk to you again on AES on Monday. Till then, bye, Mom.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.